Crossover.
Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
The crossover powered by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlowconcrete.com.
Hello. How
Hi.
you doing?
Hello. How much did you donate to get Josh Dix to Creighton?
No percentage. No percentage from me.
Wow.
No percentage.
You got a flight.
Hey, is the way to announce something these days your favorite platform is Instagram?
It's got to be for the kids.
How come Josh Dix didn't hook up with Joe Tipton from Tipton Edits to announce that he was coming to Creighton? He instead went to his own Instagram.
I think that's classy. It's classy. That's how you don't get the rumors out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Can you imagine if it was like Josh Dix posted that and it was just like a clip art, like painting over?
That's what
like,
I would
of a
do.
Jersey.
That's what I would do.
It's
I do it in the stupidest way possible.
You clearly went to Canva or something and just like wrote blue letters over your Iowa Hawkeye jersey. I'm like, roll Jays, I'm coming.
That'd be awesome. Everybody else thought they were like, oh yeah, he might go back to Iowa. He's going to probably go to Indiana. He's probably going to go to Kansas. And everyone kind of just tossed Creighton out the window, and he ended up there. I don't know how.
See, I think I was KU Creighton because coming back to the area, and Mac, they work quickly. If they like somebody, they make it well known. They make an offer. This is what we have. If not, we're moving on. Once you leave campus, we might have to move on as well.
They make it work.
They needed him too. I mean, it was a hell of a pickup. It's perfect for what they need. It's perfect for what they need.
They're gonna be scoring some points. Scoring some points.
That's a good team.
Check on the defense later.
Yeah,
Jason Green is gonna have to do a lot on that end.
Jason Green, yeah, they'll still get a backup big, probably.
Hopefully,
maybe that guy's just the enforcer. You
just need
He's Dubio KK. He comes in and just starts fouling people.
5 fouls.
Yeah,
on him a horn.
Yeah, love it.
What if Creighton had a lamb beer? What if they went from
they did. He just wasn't that large. His name was Grant Gibbs.
Can you imagine?
Everybody needs a Bill Lamb beer.
Dude, I have that up in my apartment. It's just like it's painted on the wall.
It says everyone needs
everyone needs a lamb beer. That's what I got.
Nice.
That and do yourself before you do others. Those are my two things written on the wall. But how funny would it be if Creighton went from one of the most nice and respected basketball players and had Kalkbrenner had ferocity and played like a bulldog at times and wasn't afraid to talk, but he was a very well respected player. If they went from that guy to just an absolute POS,
why not?
I think that'd be great.
See, many recreations of Creighton basketball over the years. Many.
Yes, there have been.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay. So hold on here. I think that saying, whoa.
I saw that one too.
Read that in just a second.
Yeah.
I think everybody needs to have like that edgy guy that
100%.
isn't the most skilled, but comes off the bench. He's like the fourth line goon.
But
when there needs to be an enforcer.
I love that guy.
But you're not afraid. If you come into the paint, that guy is going to give up one of his fouls.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
But at the same time, you can't overdo it because we're talking about the difference between having like a JaVale McGee on the Warriors and having a Dylan Brooks. Because there's a certain moment, there's a certain line that you could cross where the guy just becomes too much of a POS, where it just becomes a distraction.
Yeah, it's still going to be a culture guy.
Exactly.
Still going to be a culture guy.
Like a Javon Carter, if you will.
There you go.
Guy that gives the guns.
Yeah.
Well, guys, blocks a shot and gives the guns.
That's a culture guy.
Wait a minute. Why doesn't anybody get upset at Texas Tech fans? They have the guns up.
Yeah,
if Josh can't do it, nobody can do it.
Wait a minute. In a celebration, in sports,
just keeps doing it.
It's okay to put the guns up, but if I point them at you, that's wrong.
That's exactly right.
Why can't guns just in sports just be wrong?
Did you see the guy?
Why are we praising Gilbert Arenas?
What was it? I think it was in the NCAA. I think it was the Creighton Auburn game, and they showed the guy who was laying down on the baseline.
Okay,
who
that was
a
against us.
Sniper.
Yeah, that was St. John.
Oh, it was St. John's.
That was against us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up with that guy?
That was ridiculous.
Why have we not find that guy?
He was at the end of the bench.
He was a sniper.
No, he's not at the end of the bench. He was a male cheerleader.
He was ready to do damage.
Was he a cheerleader?
I thought he was a player.
I thought he was a pep guy.
He was a player.
He was dressed like a pep guy.
I don't think so. He was a player. He just had a warm up on.
He was really close to the cheerleader.
Now, okay, so the St. John's bench was to my left across the floor, so I never saw it.
Oh,
but I saw it afterwards.
That's the whole point.
So, like a word
but
for you
but
moment.
as he was down on the ground, did he like?
He had a ghillie suit on.
Did he inch himself like down, like getting closer? Like he was like in combat. He was out in the forest.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was full like knees, hips to the ground. But if we're talking about like gun placement, probably his gun was in the dirt essentially, but he was shooting it.
Yeah,
probably wasn't going too far. It was probably hitting the grass right in front of it, but he was shooting it.
Looked like a nice sniper spot. Sniper spot. Hidden.
What? I don't think it is. Out in the middle of the open, everybody can see you enough for national television to put a camera
Gary
on
didn't
you?
see it.
I didn't see it.
He was there. He
I didn't see it.
Well, I guess if he was
They
trying
didn't
to
show in the
assassinate
arena.
you.
Yeah.
But
There's
like
a sniper in the building.
Like if we ever discuss like what happens if a Texas Tech guy scores, even Oklahoma State because they have the guns.
Yep.
Like you go into
Pistols
the end zone
firing.
and you do pistols firing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a penalty?
I bet in football it would be.
I mean, the Patriots aren't shooting real bullets, right?
They're grandfathered in. They get grandfather. Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, they get
Same thing.
grandfathered in.
Columbus Blue Jackets. That's not a real cannonball in there, right?
They have a cannon.
They have a cannon.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's on their sweater.
It is a sick cannon too.
Love a good cannon.
The news.
Cannons and animals.
Board of Regents next week are going to consider
I think they'll
renaming
accept
the
this.
arena where the Husker volleyball team plays to the John Cook Arena at the Bob Devaney Sports Center.
Look at that.
It's too long. You got to pick one.
When is it going to be?
Can you imagine there's like denials on the votes? Nah, didn't do enough.
I think everybody's going to say yes to that one. But
hope.
Why don't they go with the Emeritus Arena at the
John
Bob
Cook
Devaney
floor.
Center? Yeah,
The John Cook floor at the Emeritus Arena at the Bob Devaney Sports Center.
I know why.
Need some money.
Naming rights. I know.
Have some money. Where is this? This is not
Do
happening.
you think a board of region is like, how much you paying, John? John, how much you giving?
He's given enough. He's given his life.
He has. He will not
How about that? What do you think about that?
Don't pin it on me. I'm making jokes.
He's
right?
not from here. If you
Don't
forgot.
actually try and get me to be like I'm against this.
So we'll have John Cook Arena at the Bob Devaney Sports Center played on the Terry Pettit Court.
There you go.
There you go.
That's right. It is the Terry Pettit Court.
Every level.
Ooh, John Baylor's going to be practicing that all year.
Yeah.
Well, until it becomes the John Baylor booth.
Luckily, he talks fast.
Yeah, he does. So, like when you are writing a story, do you have to include John Cook Arena at the Bob Devaney
I
Sports
don't
Center?
think so.
Well, they call
It's
it
a hell of an honor.
Yeah.
an incredible honor.
I don't think anyone actually probably says it.
Well, because no one says Tom Osborne
You know,
Field.
they're-
Well, not no one, but you don't reference Tom
like,
Osborne Field.
BTN is loading up their broadcast and their open comes in is like, welcome to
Well, I think
Terry Pettit Court
right.
inside of John Cook Arena, which is also inside of Bob Devaney's Sports Center.
But that is the question though. When they do the panning, what do they say? Welcome to the John Cook Arena?
No,
Or
they say welcome to the Bob Devaney Sports
Well,
Center.
no. Happer, I know that's what they say now, but I'm saying now that they rename it.
No,
You don't think they would change?
no. I mean, is the marquee on the outside going to say John Cook Arena? I don't think so.
Maybe the doors that you
You know
specifically
what?
walk into.
I don't know. I don't think you'd add to the outside, but like when you walk into the Devaney Center and you walk into the big lobby, like where the offices are upstairs before you go left into the main. Maybe they put John Cook Arena on that entrance.
Maybe.
They're going to put something there that says John Cook Arena.
John
I mean, you're
Cook.
technically in the John Cook
Whoa.
Arena.
Alan says, "Can we just move on from the Bob Devaney name? John Cook has earned the right to be on their solo."
Sure, I'm fine with that.
Whoa!
No.
Cigarette tax built that place.
Yeah.
Oh, if you took Bob Devaney off there, where would you put Bob Devaney?
It's barely even the Bob Devaney thing. I mean,
That is just
It's not his fault.
That is just incorrect.
the arena is completely different
Bob
from when it
Bob
was.
Devaney is still very much a legend.
It's not his fault that basketball built a arena downtown.
I'm not trying to have Bob Devaney eraser here. I'm just saying, what would be the big deal if they made it John Cook Center?
Because that building would not be built without the tax.
Yeah.
And it's a legendary coach.
But we rename everything.
Yeah, they had
I
to
don't
call
know
that
that-
arena something, and they
Man,
didn't have a basketball
Okay,
coach
I get what
to
Alan
name
is
it
saying
after.
because John Cook deserves, 25 years. But like, how would you like to have that discussion of removing Devaney's name?
Yeah, you don't want to be the guy that does that. But
Do you think it'd be really a big problem?
what's Bob Devaney's
You sound
best
like
win in
somebody that was
building?
never around for Devaney.
Well, I wasn't. do you think there would be an outrage if they took off Bob Devaney's name
I think you're playing with fire.
and made it John Cook?
I think you're playing with fire.
And made it John
Okay,
Cook. Like,
I'm
You're-
listening, and you.
But it
you're,
doesn't.
you're officially
You
telling
already
people
made
this is a
something John Cook.
volleyball
You already
arena.
made some John Cook.
This
But
is
guys, it's his arena. It's fine. It's a legendary coach. It's
So
done a
call
lot
it
for the
that.
sport.
called
It's
that.
Bob Devaney Sports Center. It's not about, I'm making a John Cook. It's Bob Devaney has done plenty to deserve to keep that
Okay,
name.
so here's another.
He
part
had
of
his
this.
time.
Okay, I'm going to tell you
He
something
was
right now.
He was a pretty good football coach.
I'll tell you something. Wait, let me tell you
Put his
something
name
right
on the football stadium.
now. So this is as if like in 2050, okay, in like 2050, and I know Osborne is considered in higher regard, okay, than Bob Devaney. I understand that. He's accomplished a lot, okay, but there are some similarities if like 50 years or like 40 years from now or 35 or 45 years from now, a long time from now, people are like, yeah, let's remove Osborne from this name.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, he's done a lot,
Wow.
but I'm talking,
You're talking in 40 years.
I'm talking
you'll
a
have to-
long time from now.
So you're mad at me for taking Devaney off, but you're trying to take
No,
Tom-
no, I am not. No, I am not. I'm
40
absolutely
years
not.
from now, we're gonna have to find a new name to go with Legacy Complex.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just telling you that this guy, Bob Devaney, is an incredibly important figure in Nebraska sports for a multitude of reasons. There's no reason to remove his name from anything.
What do you think the percentage of people that go into the Devaney Center know who it's named after?
like right,
Like still like 60%. People that maybe were around when
I put it at
Devaney.
2/3. Yeah.
No, I think people know who.
I think people know who Bob
is.
Devaney.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yes.
I mean, Coach Devaney hasn't coached here for a while, and he's passed away a long time ago.
There's a lot of young girls that go into
Which
that arena that
is
don't
an
care
even
about
better
football.
reason, which is an even better reason to keep his name around because he hasn't coached here in a while and he's passed away and he no longer can do anything to continue his legacy. So out of respect for that, just keep the name so people do have to look up who Bob Devaney is
Matt
and know
McMaster
who
here
Bob
for
Devaney
keeping
is.
old statues.
I'm here for respecting people who deserve respect and for
Matt is
keeping
here for
things alive.
respecting people. That's good.
So crazy that the Devaney Center was financed by a cigarette tax, but you couldn't smoke in there.
They should have cigarette
Good night,
night
Mom.
at the Devaney Center.
That's what they should do, and then remove his name after that.
Just one last hurrah.
I cannot believe that I am on the side of Nebraska traditionalism and Connor Happer is on the opposite.
I just said, what would be the big deal? What's
It
what's
would
the
be-
deal?
It would be a deal.
Are you going to teach your young daughter when she grows up and wants to play Nebraska volleyball, and you take her in there, you're going to tell her the story who Coach Devaney was? Or when you're at Memorial Stadium and you go by his statue, and you're like, that was the start of an incredible run. That's a national championship
Yeah,
coach.
she asked me, okay, we're going into the arena, and she says, Dad, who is Bob Devaney? And I will say, well, he was a football coach. And she'll say, well, why is his name on this volleyball arena?
That's
That's right.
fair. Now, that's absolutely fair.
But
And
it's
you'd
the
have to
John
s-
Cook
and you-
Arena.
And you'd have to say, well, back in the day, it was basketball.
and she'll say, Dad, that still doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'll say, you know what? I don't have an answer for you. So
Now let's get back to the most important part. What if at the Board of Regents, this is hypothetical, somebody approached Nebraska about buying the naming rights to Memorial Stadium? In this day and age where you're looking for money, You're trying to generate revenue.
How much?
Is Nebraska at a point, because in Minnesota, they are selling the naming rights to Williams Arena.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. That place has been around since.
Now, don't you think they're still going to call it the Barn?
Was
they
was
will.
he an ice hockey coach at one point?
I think is it Clyde Williams it's named after?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Interesting.
But are we
Double
closer today to selling naming rights to Memorial Stadium?
Yes.
How much? How much? That is.
Well, you're looking at you're starting at either at a 10-year or 25-year deal.
Yeah, $1.5 million a year over 30 years. $45 million.
See, I'm not going to act as if I know the intricacies
that sounds
and
low.
the precedents. That sounds low to me.
Okay. All right.
Can you look up like what did they just what did crypto.com go for? I know it's not the same thing. I know it's
Staples Center?
Yeah. What did that? Can you look up what that went for?
What's crypto? Oh,
like what it
okay.
went for, the naming rights?
Sure.
Or like what did or maybe more accurate? It's more closer. It's football. Do Acrisure. What did Acrisure to Heinz? That
So
might be a
you're
better
gonna
one.
have to do First National Bank FNBO at Memorial Stadium, right?
Yes.
Because you don't want to be the company that took war veterans off the side of the building, right?
That's the tricky part. Is it's not like named after. It's not like Devaney Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
It is named for veterans.
So how much was that deal? Now, granted, the dollars are different because it was kind of a while ago.
Okay, so crypto changed December 25th, 2021. And it changed just that day. There was a Christmas Day game that day, and it started being called Crypto.com Arena. $700 million over 20 years. Oh my God.
All right.
Oh my God.
Hello. That will not be happening.
What's the math on that? What's
seven? How many years?
700 over 20 years.
Over 20 years. That's 335 million. It's 35 million.
$35 million a year for naming rights. That is extreme.
In December, FAU sold their football stadium naming rights for $22.5 million over 15 years. Now, obviously, Nebraska
Say that
could
again?
get more than that.
Say that again. How many?
$22.5 million over 15 years.
Okay, so maybe we're dealing with $5 million a year or something like that.
Okay, so CHI was 20 years, $23.6 million.
So Acrisure is paying $10 million a year for Heinz Field.
Wow.
That's 10 a year.
All right,
I think.
Should we say 5? 5's a good deal.
So here's why I say more than 5. Do
we have a deal?
Here's why I say more than 5. Because I think it is worth 5. I think you're right. I think it is worth 5. There definitely has to be the kicker because it's such a historic stadium name. Like you gotta you gotta
buy out.
You gotta give me a little short, just kick it up a little bit. So I would say 7.5.
I personally would not have a problem with that.
$7.5 million is a lot of money.
I wouldn't have a problem with it if somebody came in or
I think crypto.com definitely is that's the highest you could go. I think a fair deal would be 5. I think if the company really, really wanted it, Nebraska would be like, look, they are going to get flack. If they were to sell the naming rights, they would absolutely get flack for it. And so the flack is worth a little bit more money.
I think so, but life goes on. You know?
Oh no, I know you and I are. I know we're fine. I know we're
they
cool
canceled
with it.
this whole spring game.
But you understand that you
it's gone.
It's
just gone.
But they
nothing left.
I would match your energy, but my throat is killing me. I telling you right now, you have to operate with the traditionalist mega Husker fan in mind, who would flip their crap if they were to change the name. And once again, it's already the person who's saying, "Oh, this all became about money. It's all about money. This is why I can't stand. It's all about money." That would for some people, I don't know. I wouldn't call it a nail in a coffin, but it would be there would be a gripe for sure.
You got to convince Alliance that this is a good idea, right?
Well, what happens when they have to do?
This is, by the way,
what happens when they have to do $800 million in stadium upgrades and they need to go to the state and get money from it? You know, are people going to be like
sell your naming rights?
Because I don't care about that. Ask.
Let's play guess how much we paid to have our name on the building. Would you like to guess what Pinnacle Bank's naming rights are for the building in Lincoln?
2.5.
This is a
sweetheart deal.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
for PBA.
Okay, so how many years?
It's 25 years.
25 years.
Oh.
Let's say $15 million.
I think it's 25 years, probably like $5 million.
Whoa.
I'm gonna go 750,000.
a year.
$11.25 million.
Yeah, so there you go. Less than
seems
500
so
grand.
low.
Wow.
So
And that was
is
signed.
good math.
That was signed almost 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Before naming rights became as popular as they are now.
So what? They're through 2037, 2030.
25 years starting in 2013.
So yeah, 2038.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's coming up.
I do think though, like if they were to sell it, it'd be a 10-year deal. I would not want to lock myself into anything longer.
Yeah, but then
than a
you're
10-year
but
deal.
then you're changing it. You know, then you're changing it every 10
Well, you
years.
can just
and,
renew it.
and then what is it? You know?
Okay, we're at the point.
But
now,
somebody's going to come in after the 10 years
we're
and be like, I'll pay more.
But we're doing the song and dance so much now, where I just really don't think it matters how many names people, regardless of the fact. All right, you can put FNBO, you can put PBA, you can put whatever the hell you want on the stadium. People are still going to call it Memorial. All right, and there are still people who call it Comiskey Park.
Oh,
and there are
interesting.
still people who are going to call it Heinz Field.
I have less of an issue. I have more of an issue with changing it every 5 or 10 years than admitting that we're going to take the money and erase old names that we're not making money off of. Like, I would rather have it stay something
I think
forever.
I think at this
But
point, like
pick
what
a
you
thing.
grow up with, what you grow up with is what you grow up with. There are people who still call United Center the Chicago Stadium. You know, like you're gonna call it whatever the hell you want to call it. And the thing is, the beauty is that no one's gonna be like, actually, it's supposed to be called this. They don't give a damn, right? The only people who really care about that or who need to be right about it is the announcers when they come onto the screen. So
I call it
if you make more money and it helps the team and it helps the athletic department and it's
That's
a
what I'm
factor,
saying.
it's a factor to winning more. I don't care if you change it every 10 years.
Oh, okay. I do care.
Speaking of 10 years, because I looked this up because I was going to look up Baxter Arena. 10 years signed in 2015 for $4 million. It is now 2025.
Coming up.
I've not heard anything about an extension or.
Interesting. They have a better average annual value than Pinnacle Bank Arena.
Should we go in on it?
The Josh Hodson.
No, 1620 the Zone Arena. 1620 the Arena.
Well, we already have a stadium that the Texans play in.
Energy.
I don't. Will we have more Baxter Arena or a new Baxter Arena?
I like Baxter Arena. I think it's strong. Meh. Just gets to the point. Here at Baxter Arena.
What about Ferraris and Lamborghinis Arena?
How about Lemonheads Arena? Can you imagine? Welcome to Lemonhead Memorial Stadium.
You could just say the West Dodge Expressway Motor Company's Arena, and get all.
Because we need another arena or music venue in this town.
Of course, we do. Josh, thoughts?
Running a little light on those.
And we are here in Lincoln, Nebraska, at Baby Bottle Pop Memorial Stadium.
Nice. That'd be good.
You wouldn't like to go to the Pop?
I would love to go to the Baby Bottle Pop Arena.
Remember when PBA opened, FNBO was on the floor?
They still are.
Well, they are, but it's not as prevalent as it used to be.
Yeah.
They faded. Every year they fade out the wood
Well,
just
like
a
the
little
first
bit.
year of PBA, it was like large.
Now, did they have a naming right in there where they call it FNBO Court? Because I don't think I've ever said that.
No, they don't.
But
I think that was
the
part of
Chide
the
they
agreement.
do.
Oh, that's right.
At the Chide they do. It's called FNBO Court.
How much do you think, like, it's like, yeah, FNBO this big is 500,000, but if you want another panel, it's 750,000.
You bet. You got to redo
That's
the floor.
crazy.
Do the whole thing.
Well, because I think when they signed that deal, there was a lot of people like, whoa. FNBO is on the floor, and you're now Pinnacle Bank, and they had some agreement in there that they were working together.
Yeah.
That it would not impact either one.
Sure.
That is something that I would love. I know this is
Bank
so
on
random.
bank.
I would love to buy like the parquet floor, like a piece of the parquet floor from the original Boston Garden. Now we're just talking about floors. I would just love to buy one of the original parquet.
I bet you could go get that.
Yeah,
I bet that's out there.
I would love to buy one of those,
I mean,
like an original parquet floor piece.
Think about when we're driving into Lincoln. You get off on 180 and you're driving into downtown Lincoln and you look to your left and illuminated in bright red lights along the West Stadium.
What's it say?
It says like Woodhouse. Woodhouse Stadium.
Yeah.
Or you ready?
Rob Seco.
Menards.
There you go.
But Woodhouse, which their colors are
Okay,
black
Acres.
and blue.
that's the funny thing.
Acre?
Acres, they already have the
names-
Champions Club.
What
Yeah.
What
so they probably don't
names-
want to expand.
what names would be accepted? Like I feel like if it was Home Depot Stadium, the people would be like, "Hell yeah, Working Man Stadium."
It'd have to be local.
They,
Yeah,
they,
I think you go
they,
you go local.
they changed the tunnel music to the Home Depot theme when they're walking out.
Warren Buffett finances the entire athletic department for like 25 years,
Yeah.
but they put his name on the
Or
stadium.
Berkshire Hathaway.
Oh no, Buffett Stadium.
Hey, we're going out of the Burke.
Yeah.
Dairy Queen Arena.
Would that prevent the World Herald from covering it because of what he did to their paper?
Charles writes in the
Would be
Gary
Lee
Sharp
Enterprises Stadium.
Charles writes the Gary Sharp Memorial Sauna in the 1620 The Zone Arena.
Okay, there you go.
Now we're talking.
You guys are vibing with me. That's nice and warm in here.
Always
you
is.
Keeps you loose.
The Westlake Ace Hardware Stadium.
Yeah, there you go. Something nice and
What about-
specific.
What
How about
about
the
all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Leon's, the grocery store in Lincoln, comes up with cash, and they buy
Yeah.
the naming rights.
Leon's.
You're here
Russ's.
at Russ's Market Stadium.
Now, Russ's would be.
Yeah, watch out, Russ's.
I don't know. Muchachos is taking everything over. Just call them Muchachos.
Ah, De Leon's Taco Rico Stadium.
All I know is that if you were the company that did that, I wouldn't want to be your social media person because the comments about your naming rights on a stadium that's named after war veterans,
Yeah,
that'd be a little bit rough.
it'd be a tough one to swallow at first.
Yeah.
I think.
Be a tough 48 hours.
Yeah.
But after that, I think you'd be
I
good.
think everybody would be okay.
You don't get this opportunity very often.
Oh my God.
But the other night, so in the press box at the Omaha, Nebraska game, sit next to the person that's doing the Twitter for Omaha.
Mhm.
The responses
Oh,
are incredible. Like ask Rob Anderson the next time or Glenn Sisk, like the gambling people. So
Oh,
like people like the gambling people will get after the Twitter account about you guys suck. You're not covering.
nice.
But there was like nothing but fire will bolt from
Sure.
the other night on the
Yes.
response to tweets.
To the Omaha tweets.
To the Omaha tweet when they put the score up like it was 11-9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
But the person that would be running the Twitter account of a business that put their name on Memorial Stadium,
wouldn't be ready.
you'd be blocking a lot of people.
Mom-
You'd be muting a lot of people.
I think you'd probably shut down the replies.
Mom's Liquor has the
Oh, that would
ability
make
to
him
do the
even more
funniest
upset.
thing.
The only people that can reply to this if you were mentioned.
Yeah, exactly.
So the only one is a response from Nebraska Athletics. Hey, thank you for the partnership.
Mom's Liquor Memorial Stadium.
Oh, there you go. Now we're talking.
All right. It'll be nice for John Cook, but no one will refer to it as John Cook
Yeah,
Arena. It'll
sorry.
be the Bob Devaney Sports
And
Center.
he's probably okay with that.
Yeah, and
How about they name it the
I
John
bet he's
Cook
a-
Rodeo Arena?
Yeah, why don't they just name it after one of his horses?
Yeah. What
Yeah.
if they?
what if they just named it 415?
415.
So I got to think, is this a story he's told? Okay, I'm just going to say. So they were working on his new contract and they were including a bonus. And he said, I don't need a bonus. Just buy me a horse.
Oh yeah.
And so
Yeah.
the horse is named after the money that he would have gotten as the bonus.
Oh yes, I remember seeing a story about
There was
that.
something it was in the contract.
They could build a rodeo arena
Yeah.
and name it after John Cook.
Now that's happening. Yes. Yeah.
Sources?
Nebraska Linebacker, originally known as 415.
Yeah.
He renamed the horse to Rev. Rev, short for revival, which is chosen through a fan vote and inspired by Zach Bryan's song Revival.
Yeah.
That's great. Look for that.
I would when I own a horse, I'm
Seems
gonna
like a
name
good
it.
guy.
I'm gonna name it Clyde.
Clyde?
Clyde.
What about Luis?
No.
I would name a horse Luis.
Clyde. Come on, Clyde.
So how come we're not selling
Or Calf.
this show's not
Shut up,
selling
Calf.
the rights to Haymarket Park? I mean,
Well,
you
it's
have to
already
have
Hawks
like
Field.
yeah, and the late Mr. Hawks,
Mm-hmm.
but people don't refer to it as Howard Hawks Field.
I say Hawks Field at Haymarket Park, actually.
You do?
Because Haymarket Park is
Oh, aren't
referring-
you special?
Haymarket Park is referring to both the baseball and the
bowling?
softball complex, right?
Mm.
I say Hawks Field. Like I use them interchangeably.
Okay.
Use them interchangeably. But they could call they could name that something.
That would,
They can name everything.
well, everything.
And they should name everything.
We don't have none of our all of our sports venues in this town have naming rights. Like Werner's deal with the Storm Chasers in Union, Omaha is now
lock it in.
The Union, Omaha new soccer stadium that we should hear about more this month. That naming right will be kind of interesting.
Yeah, that'll be fascinating. The what are they calling the airport project? The Build Omaha. The Build Omaha soccer field.
I don't like it.
Okay, just an idea.
Better than Go Big.
There you go. Go Big.
Will there be a hospital that would put their name on it?
Probably.
I mean, Kansas City.
Oh yeah, worked for them.
Oh, there's options. Okay, we got ideas. You guys, are you all right, buddy?
No, I'm fine.
Go home.
I know. I'm going to bed.
Going to bed. Nice jacket.
Thank you. It was my birthday present.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, tomorrow.
All right, happy birthday. Cool.
Hey,
it's a very nice gift from the parents.
Nebraska really tweeted that picture out.
I saw that. What does that mean? They're getting Price Sanford?
So Nebraska basketball tweeted out a picture of Fred Hoiberg clearly recruiting on a private plane on the phone.
It's amazing that a third of Iowa's roster is going to be playing basketball within the state's borders next year.
I think I know who tweeted that. That's a classic. If he did that, that's a classic. They got funny people who are running. They got funny people who are running Twitter.
All right, you guys have a great day. Enjoy your afternoons. It's lovely out there. It's cold, dark, wet.
I can't go to bed.
So you got to read the replies. It's clearly Price Sanford.
Yeah.
Somebody goes, "Hello, Texas Aggies."
Yeah, I can't. Fortunately, can't go to bed. I got to go to Warhorse.
Hey, did you see his big board?
Oh,
it's got horse racing, hockey, baseball, and the Final Four on it.
Horse racing.
Ovi anytime goal -135.
Santa Anita Derby.
Santa Anita Derby, $7 on the 1 through the 4.
No, 1, 4, 2, 4. Exact the box.
All right, cool. Houston, the Rockets.
No, the Cougars.
Okay, love it, +5.5 or over 136.5. Florida -2.5 and Chi versus SD.
San Diego.
Nerfy. No runs in the first
love a
inning.
Nerfy.
Yeah,
it's quite the variety.
Matt's big board.
I love to gamble.
Clearly.
Blackjack.
All right, that's the crossover powered by Every Level Concrete Repair in Omaha at everylevelconcrete.com. It's Friday. We'll start things off next.
That's the crossover. The Connor Happer Show is next on 1620 The Zone. It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome in. Happy Friday. It's the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer and Josh Odson with you. Creighton basketball reloaded for the 2025-2026 season.
Let It Fly is back.
Yeah, points. Tempo. Get that, dust that Let It Fly logo off. Get out your quarter zips and dust out the Let It Fly logo, and you got something going for next year. Creighton not done in the portal either.
Not done?
I don't think so. I mean, they can't be done. There's some more needs to be had.
RJ Lewis,
why not sign him up? All right, welcome to the show. We will, of course, talk about the addition for Creighton and Josh Dix here as we go on throughout the show today. Our regular Friday guests, Bryan Munson, Bryan Christopherson, Steve Sipple will join the show coming up today. That's the lineup powered by the rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. Want to hear from you all, 402-951-1620 on the hotline. Call or text that number. Tweet at Happer Show at Connor Happer on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor Josh Show at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we, of course, say good morning to the YouTube streamers today, where Omaha says, great job, Creighton, reloading the team.
Wow, the whole city on our YouTube stream.
Omaha has logged on to YouTube and said, nice job by Creighton reloading for next year. Trey Alexander is also the G League Rookie of the Year.
Whoa.
How about that? The Kia NBA G League Rookie of the Year. 26 points a game, almost 6 rebounds and 5.5 assists over 30 games with the Grand Rapids Gold, I believe it is. The Grand Rapids Gold. So it's all, I guess it's all coming up Creighton basketball today. Jeff writes in on that subject.
Hi, Jeff.
Boo.
Okay. Yeah, sure. No, that's, yeah.
Yeah. But there is a picture of Fred Hoiberg on the telephone.
They're cooking something over there.
Yeah. He's got something going on. Bryce Sanford, is he in? Iowa's roster is all going to be playing within the borders of the state of Nebraska next year, it appears. Or they'll all be graduated and off to better things. Aaron writes in.
Hi, Aaron.
Says Nebraska basketball fans hate Creighton really are going to hate this team. It's like Iowa had a kid with Creighton. That's me. I'm one of those guys. Good. Use a little bit. Why not? Use a little bit more of that. You're saying that there won't be anybody, casual observers who are just watching Creighton next year, and they'll just say, oh, wow, I kind of like what I see. People are just like, this is not for me. I don't know. But you got a local kid on the roster now, and Josh Dix, the Council Bluffs Abraham Lincoln alum, and going to play his final year over at Creighton, which is a very, very big deal for them. We have Creighton baseball, by the way, tonight on 1620 The Zone. Nope, on 1180 The Zone, sorry. And they take on UConn. It's going to be nice and chilly. Warm up with us.
We are playing.
Yeah, we're playing baseball.
Okay.
You heard Ed Service yesterday. We're not doing doubleheaders anymore.
Good.
Doubleheaders are canceled.
That's right.
Ed Service he's putting his foot down. He says, we're not doing doubleheaders anymore.
I hate this.
I'd like to play one game a day for 3 consecutive days.
Mm-hmm.
That's my deal. You take it or leave it. Mother Nature.
Mother Nature said fine.
So we'll see if they accept the terms of that deal. Final Four coming up this weekend. Florida and Auburn, Duke and Houston. We'll dive into those matchups. And I like what's being written about Bill Raftery these days. Some front office sports caught up with Bill Raftery just about his favorite thing. They were like, hey, are you going to retire? And he's like, no. And then they were like, cool, let's talk about your favorite bars that you like to go to.
Oh,
it's a great story.
Incredible.
We'll talk about that.
Okay.
We have something funny, a funny development going on in Major League Baseball. Mickey Joseph has an idea.
Mickey.
Next week is settlement week. So we'll see what that thing looks like. People are skeptical that this whole NIL clearinghouse thing is going to work. Me too.
What makes you say that?
Well, feels like, cat's kind of already out of the bag, right? Can't put that genie back in the bottle. Can't put that toothpaste back in the toothpaste tube, whatever.
What's the phrase they always used back in the day? Preventing from earning a living or something like that?
Mm-hmm. So it feels like you're not probably going to be able to restrict how much money you'd like to pay players, but that's just a guess on my part. We'll find out more on that next week, but we're happy that you're with us. If there's any Nebraska basketball news that drops during the show, we'll of course have that. And Nebraska playing in the semifinals of the Crown tomorrow.
That's right.
I watched more Crown last night.
Heard last night was a banger for the Crown.
It was a good game. Villanova and USC. They were going back and forth for a while. Eric Dixon tried to blow it a couple times by missing free throws.
He does that.
But the nation's leading scorer, his career will never end. Never, ever, ever.
Now, it wasn't better than the NIT game last night.
I'm afraid not.
Okay.
Unless you're that one guy who biffed the layup for UC Irvine, then
thank God there's a Crown people were watching instead of me.
Anything was better than the night for that guy.
Oh
my. That's a tough one. He had a guy flying in over his shoulder, but you're probably regretting that one a little bit.
A little too soft.
Just he had to get rid of it. He's running out of time, and there's a lot kind of going on. And missed a point blank layup that would have won the NIT for UC Irvine. But congratulations to Chattanooga.
The Mocs.
Chattanooga, winners of the NIT. And then we're down to Boise State, Nebraska, UCF, and Villanova in the Crown, playing for money this weekend too. I think there's probably a conversation to be had about what the Crown run means for Nebraska basketball as well. So maybe we could do that today on the show too. But we're happy you're with us today. We're off and running on a Friday. We'll be back and start things up next here on 1620 The Zone.
let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
All right, let's dip our toe in the water here.
Okay, where are we going?
We're going once again to the Creighton burner community. What is the dinner?
The dinner.
This is what they were talking about last night.
Okay.
Everybody was doing the dinner. Now, what do I don't know what it is. It's a reference, an obvious reference to dinner.
Okay.
What is the dinner? Some people are blaming the dinner for Creighton's for Creighton's capturing of Josh Dix in the portal. What is it? I know you guys are in here. I know you're watching. What is it?
You don't have to tell us publicly if you don't want, like, if it's like a thing that the public doesn't want to know.
It's a secret.
Even John Walker's talking about it.
I know, but I don't know. What does he know what it means? Admittedly, I didn't ask. I should have asked.
Should I text John?
I should have asked last night. I should have asked people on Twitter or something like that. And they probably would have said, Connor, if I have to explain the dinner to you, you don't know the dinner. And I'm saying, well, that is true. I do not know what the dinner is. I have no idea. So someone please explain this to me.
Did Owen and Josh decide to go to Creighton together over a dinner?
So that's what EC is saying on YouTube. The dinner is a dinner that Owen Freeman and Josh Dix had, where maybe Owen Freeman was trying to convince Josh Dix that he needs to come play at Creighton. So if that's it, that's very helpful.
Okay.
So then the dinner worked, right? The dinner apparently is a story that needs to be written about, probably, but maybe that's why John Walker knows about it, because he's probably diving into the dinner. What happened at the dinner? Is the dinner where you make all your plans for the future? Maybe.
Now
you talk about your days, you talk about your highs and your lows at the dinner. Josh, what did you do at the dinner last night?
What did I do at the dinner last night?
Yeah, you had a dinner.
I did have a dinner. We played a little Mario Party during dinner last
During
night.
dinner?
Yeah.
Wow. What were you eating?
We had some salmon.
Salmon?
Mm-hmm.
Mario Party?
Uh-huh. A little salad on the side.
Now that's a dinner.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. I had some leftover pizza for the dinner last night.
Hell yeah.
And I was preparing for a baseball game kind of while eating the dinner last night. Had a little side salad for the dinner. I don't think, there was work that was being done, but I don't think probably as significant as the Owen Freeman Josh Dix dinner, if that is indeed the lore on this thing.
So we're in a little bit of a hole here because a lot of our Creighton burner community,
they're in school.
Well, no, they went to Vegas.
Really?
I know a couple of our friends in the chat are in Vegas this weekend for the crown.
Okay. Here we go. Whopper.
Thank you, Whopper.
I met Whopper. I will not reveal his real identity. Allegedly, Freeman and Dix broke bread Wednesday night to work out their alleged differences, and Freeman convinced Dix that they could work together.
Differences?
I don't know anything about the differences. This is just what Whopper is telling.
Whopper wouldn't lie.
I don't think so. The Creighton burner community obviously knows. So there you go. That's what it is. They sat down, they broke bread just like we do. Let's work this all out. So the next thing is there needs to be a story about this.
Yeah, John Walker, long read.
So, or we could have Owen or Josh on.
We could. Yeah. We are the official home of Creighton Athletics.
We could be the official home of anything. We could call them up and we could say, would you like to come on and talk about the dinner?
Jay's Pod would do numbers.
That is a good point. Jay's Pod could take a deep dive on the dinner. They could find out about but I want the details of the dinner. Where was the dinner? What kind of dinner was it?
What did you both order?
Was it a long dinner? How many courses? This is good. Pedro writes in.
Hi, Pedro.
Hey, guys. Maybe you have not heard of the dinner because some people call it supper.
Should we also be searching the supper online?
I don't see the hashtag the supper going around very much. No. Alex Lincoln says Josh is on every day. Josh Dix. Josh Dix.
We have many Joshes on the station throughout the day. Josh Dix, not one of them.
There are so many Joshes.
Yeah. Very popular name, very biblical.
Is this, have you found this to be an issue for you?
Oh, yeah. There was always another Josh in my class every year, and it was a different Josh every year. It wasn't the same Josh following me from K through 12.
Wow, like that like that slug or whatever that's going to murder you.
Like Dumb Debates Hall of Fame. That slug.
No, it's snail. I like calling a snail a slug.
Sure.
Poll question: Would you? Is slug the preferred nomenclature for just a snail? Because I'd rather call it a slug because I think that's cooler. Or maybe they're two different things. I'm not sure. Mike says salmon and Mario Party equals the dinner. Black Cat says, I thought What's for Dinner rebranded and really popped off. Some people just didn't even know what the dinner was. It's great to see.
I won the game of Mario Party, by the way.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
What happens in Mario Party?
It's like a board game, but digitally. You play. Everybody takes a turn moving throughout the board.
Okay.
You're trying to get stars.
Okay.
And then there's mini games after everybody takes a turn.
All right. Cool. Poll questions up. Is slug the preferred nomenclature for the snail? That's good. John emails in.
Hi, John.
Good Lord, I would rather talk about the stupid crown than the dinner. Which would you rather talk about? Poll question. Which would you rather talk about? The dinner or the crown? Hashtag them both, Josh.
Oh, okay.
The dinner or the crown? It's that'll be up to vote here in just a few moments. So yes, anyway, it seems as if the dinner has produced Creighton another good basketball player. It's a nice ad for them, right? So now you start thinking about what the potential lineups could be and stuff like that. You're getting ever closer to that. You still have to fill in other pieces around and
defense.
Yeah, I think there's probably. I mean,
it's coming.
You get some good individual defense, but you need a backup big still and. Maybe another, wing type or something like that. But I think you could afford to kind of take some chances now. But the word about Dix was that it was going to cost a lot of money. I heard this. There was Indiana involved, there was Kansas involved, and there was some late buzz about him going back to Iowa or something like that. And, kind of surprise, the dinner worked out. So, either Creighton really, put a lot of their funds into getting Josh Dix, or he took the hometown discount because of the dinner. Who knows? We may never know, but we will ask about the dinner. We will ask.
We have to.
It's a great get. I mean, it really is. And so it's amazing that quickly, 2 weeks after the season ended, you're like. Yeah, I think I feel, there's a lot of uncertainty. What's going to happen going forward? What's going to happen without Kalkbrenner? What's going to happen without Stephen Ashworth and Jemiah Neal? And of course, there's confidence because Creighton has always found a way to sort of recreate itself. But I mean, you definitely feel good about what they got in the transfer portal, and you pair that along with Nick Graves, the combo guard from Charlotte that we talked about yesterday, and then Owen Freeman, and I don't think he could have asked for a better, start to figure out. And so early too, right? Like a lot of this stuff feels like it kind of trickles over time and you're in these battles and it's you never really know until until the guy shows up on campus. But to publicly get commitments from those three guys, positions of need and top players at their positions and in the transfer portal in general. I mean, it's a heck of a coup there for Greg McDermott in the early stages of the transfer portal here. There's an assistant coach still that they have to replace. By the way, do you see what Coach Miller's doing at Murray State? He's got Mason and he's got Fred.
Fred?
Fred King. Fred King.
Okay.
The basketball player. That's right.
Yes. Okay.
So, and then he brought Jahens Manigat with him as well. And Ben Schultzberg, former Blue Jay, is going to go join him down there as well. So they're putting together kind of all three of those players, King, Mason, Schultzberg, were all on the roster when Creighton went to the Elite Eight a couple of years ago. So that's something by their name. What's this? What's this?
Crown be damned. The news cannot wait. Price Sanford, Nebraska, official.
Instagram official.
I got it on the tweets.
It's probably a
X.
screenshot of an Instagram,
Maybe.
right?
I mean, it's from Price Sanford's account.
Okay, there you go. All right.
He ain't waiting.
So Nebraska went and got an Iowa guy too. Well, something that we kind of thought, especially when a picture of Fred Hoiberg on the telephone on a private jet goes up from the Nebraska basketball account a couple minutes ago. How about that? So Price Sanford, Nebraska, Owen Freeman, Josh Dix, Creighton. Who else from Iowa's roster is available?
As Matthew says on the YouTube chat, a third Hawkeye has crossed the river.
There's got to be some more guys out there, right? Payne Sanford is out of eligibility at this point. Where'd Brock Harding end up? Is he in the portal? I know Traore went into the portal as well. Yeah, so there you go. Look at that. So, Nebraska basketball fans talk about hating Creighton next year because they're filled with Iowa guys. Why don't you look in the mirror? Look in the mirror. So there you go. Good news there for Nebraska basketball as well. A nice pickup. Obviously with Sanford a little bit less to go off of. He's a year younger than Dix. A little less playing time, but you see his older brother and you're like, man, that guy like 40 burger Nebraska this year, Peyton. So a good addition there for Nebraska, who's going to have to do some more in the transfer portal. Credit to Nebraska too, what they've done this week. Keeping all that stuff in order while trying to play a basketball game as well. I mean, it's something we'll talk about a little bit later in the show, but like you're not probably putting a whole lot into the basketball piece of this, but to be able to set up visits and calls and things like that and actually get some fruit of that at in a week where you've been just in Vegas the entire time. That's pretty impressive. So nice job by Fred Hoiberg.
You love the size and the potential, right?
And staff there. All right. We're back with Bryan Munson coming up on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Bryan Munson.
Hey, long call. Comfy left zoom buster. 63 bang Z Maui. Alert. Paradise Z Burger Y wrap on one.
Husker Online on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, we are joined now on the hotline by our regular Friday 11 o'clock guest, Bryan Munson, HuskerOnline.com. Munson, hello. Happy Friday. How are you?
Happy Friday. Let's let the weekend begin with this conversation, my man.
Let's do it. And then we could, we could fire up the grills or whatever needs to be done in like 10 or 15 minutes.
I need to have a poncho because we're getting the rain down here today. But yeah, we'll figure out a way to get that happening here. I need to be in a little better mood today. The gray weather has got me down.
Okay, so it's gray there too. It's cold and it's been cold and wet and gray here all week. So yeah, we need to.
It's been awful.
Okay, maybe we can brighten people's mood with some recruiting news. So you wrote up a list of Nebraska, what they've brought in terms of visitors over the last couple of weeks, and it's an extensive list, and a lot of this stuff has kind of gone under the radar. So kudos to you for sort of putting this together. These guys still, making visits. Obviously, we talked about Trey Taylor last week, but what sort of stands out to you about what they've done over the last couple of weeks while spring ball's been going on here?
Oh my goodness, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to really feel good about with where things are kind of at. And I think that the first thing that I think Nebraska fans that follow recruiting closely, they have to start adjusting what they kind of expect to be happening on these types of spring practice to scrimmage weekends. Because I think, in years past, you and I would talk, 2 or 3 guys are going to show up today. We know a little bit about them. One kid's got an offer from Northern Iowa or whatever, and the other 2 guys don't have any offers, and then they kind of leave. And then the scrimmage weekend, they're bringing in 30 guys, right? And they're going to do this big kind of production around, the scrimmage. Those days are over. Those days are over, at least for the right here and the right now. If you go through that list that you mentioned in Tunnel Talk, these are very highly touted, ranked recruits. And if they don't have the ranking, they're 2027s and they're just not at that kind of part yet in their process where they have been looked at by the right people, the recruiting experts, to have the ranking. Or, there were a handful of 2028s that made it into Nebraska over the last couple of weeks. So, which is really wild because they don't even have learner permits yet for their cars. So it's really kind of one of those things where I think people have kind of got to adjust what they expect to kind of have happening. And to gauge the success, I think, of these weeks, it's not going to ever be in terms of a walk-on spot was offered to so-and-so that's from 2026. It's just not getting the right kind of coverage or kind of exposure. That's a regional guy, a guy that Nebraska is still kind of keeping warm but hasn't offered. Those days are over. I really feel like these are becoming more and more business trip-like.
Yeah.
There were 5 guys that came to Nebraska over the last 2 weeks that we know of that are on my list, 4 of which left with offers: 2027 quarterback, 2027 interior offensive lineman, 2028 two offensive linemen from all from Iowa. The only guy that didn't get an offer was a 2028 quarterback, and he played JV last year in Indiana. So, I mean, obviously a dude, Nebraska likes him. They really want to bring him into camp. We're aware, you look the part and can really do some things, but we need to start working with you, developing the relationship, etc. So this is a different set of circumstances than what we've ever had before. And people need to kind of tweak what's kind of going on, like how they would gauge success. It's not going to be in terms of numbers. It's now in terms of quality that are coming into Nebraska.
It's interesting how you just sort of explain that, and that is a bigger picture thing on how recruiting has just changed now with the current environment that we have. Would you say generally that it's 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 kind of taken not all of it, but it's kind of taken a lot of the BS out of recruiting.
It has.
Yeah, it feels more direct.
So think about it in terms of if you were running a recruiting department and you're being judged on your success is being judged on how many guys are making their way to Lincoln on any given day. Okay. Like, let's just say flat out, you're going out there and you're just looking for numbers. Well, in those numbers, maybe in the back of your mind, there's 4 guys here. There's really 4 guys here. There's 51 out of the 55 that Nebraska fans don't need to be concerned with. And I hate to say that. But I mean, it is the honest to God truth. If you go back through, like when I'm mentioning before, like 65 guys on campus, 70 guys on campus, how many of those guys really ended up ever getting a Nebraska offer? Not many. It was an overwhelming number to kind of process,
right?
In terms of like, you could judge your popularity, you could judge how strong the brand is, but you can't really take away anything factual about what the real seriousness is between Nebraska's interest in any one of those 55 recruits.
Yeah.
You had to kind of wait for it to kind of play out. And as a guy that's kind of guiding that, if you're like in the operations side or the recruiting department side, imagine kind of that headache, obviously, because deep down, this is a guy that won't even get like a walk-on spot, but we have to keep doing this because we have to bring these kinds of players in because it's a regional guy or he's, something else kind of happening. And I'm probably going to get lambasted over social media for maybe letting my people behind my, like the screen, my Wizard of Oz screen a little bit, but it's true. The way that they have straightened this out, it's become a business trip. It is way more simple, like you'd said. It is way more straightforward. And there is no difficulty in understanding big board. Their big board is laid out right there for you with the guys that are coming to Lincoln.
Yeah, so I guess true or false, guys. I mean, once again, it's situational, so you can't put a blanket over the entire thing. But true or false, guys aren't even taking visits anymore unless they know that the place that they're taking a visit to is going to be a realistic option for them to play, right? Like
totally.
The school has laid out, here's the deal. We have a spot for you, and the player, chooses to either reciprocate or not reciprocate the interest with the visit. And then you kind of go from there, right?
Yeah, totally. And I think, some of my questions, I've even tried to get a little bit more involved, like asking about NIL. At some point, during these conversations, it's going to come up, or maybe they have a number in mind, right? Maybe some things are being thrown around out there by other schools. And I'm kind of like going, well, what is your number? Like, what is kind of the numbers that you're kind of hearing? So I'm still trying to get comfortable with that conversation. It's one of those things that, just kind of like, hey, how much money you got in your wallet? Like, I'm not comfortable still talking about it, particularly with 16, 17-year-old, recruits and guys that'll be making huge business decisions, way before anything I could have ever decided like that in my life. I mean, it's definitely evolving, but I think the part that I can help in the evolution is kind of painting the picture for everybody else to understand. This big board is way more concise. There is a lot less smoke and mirrors. It is really cut and dry. And I think I would pay very close attention to who the visitors are that are coming in, because I think the big board is forming right in front of all of our eyes.
Yeah. So speaking of that, of the big board, you wrote a little bit about that today and how that is changing and evolving, and a couple of the players on there as you look at some of the, there's, as it is with any big board, there is, kind of guys that you prioritize more than others. Or do we have a better sense on what that might look like now, considering the developments over the last 2 weeks and the visitors and all those things?
Yeah. I think that there's definitely some guys that you have to start that I would not have included before. And I think there's some understanding around a guy that was on the big board that I would say that went back into 2024, maybe even prior to that a little bit, but with all the changes in the coaching staff, it's hard to really kind of figure out how Nebraska stood up, basically scrapped the board that they had in a lot of positions. I would say wide receiver was one of them. I'd say sometime in the secondary, that was part of it. I'd say defensive line was part of it as well. And, how did they kind of scrap that from like end of the regular season, between that and the bowl game and all the coaching changes and the hires that had to be made, and, sometime between kicking things back off again in January to the February 1st Elite Junior Day visit, Nebraska stood up basically a brand new big board in a lot of different areas. And we're getting some clarification, like a Titan Davis, for example. Titan Davis was a very well-known 4-star defensive lineman from St. Louis that has been in Nebraska several times before and had not been in Nebraska, since in a while. Didn't make it to Elite Junior Day, didn't make it to a game last season. So you're wondering, like, is he part of this whole casualty that between the two boards? And we find out obviously that he was in town last week or earlier this week. So there is still some feeling out that's happening here. I think though, with some of the new names that kind of happened, like Nasir Ranking, Ryan Moret, Cameron Hamill, I think that there are some dudes that obviously people can kind of go back and go, okay, here's 3 new names: offensive lineman, wide receiver, corner, 2 of the positions that we talked about. And I think offensive line is still kind of forming in some ways, because obviously they just offered a brand new offensive tackle last night too in Florida. I think those boards are still kind of coming together. I think that, you have new coaches in those new spaces that are still trying to figure out what the room needs. And I think some guys have kind of elevated themselves in very short standing, like Cameron, like Nasir, and both those guys will be back for official visits later on this summer. And Ryan obviously is kicking it around as well, just trying to make sure the scheduling works. So I think that these 2026s that you're seeing here in April will more than likely, I'm going to say 80% plus, you'll see them again in June for an official visit. Nebraska feels very good about their big board, but like I said, they did make a new offer to a right tackle last night who happens to be committed to Syracuse. So something to kind of keep an eye on there. But otherwise, 2026 I think it's kind of set. I think they feel pretty good about that.
What has been the reception after these visits to Nebraska's kind of new operation, like in terms of, the coaching staff setup and whether it be Holgerson or the coaches that are sort of recruiting the players, and everybody's sort of in a different spot now. Like what's been the general reception to people coming off of their Nebraska visits, watching practice and interacting with people around the program?
Yeah, they've the first thing that's been mentioned to me over and over and over again. Well, I mentioned the facilities again, but that's just going to be on repeat. Just go ahead and apply that to every single answer before this. But the one part that I feel like has been upgraded. Several of the recruits have said that they have been around recruiting kind of assistants, not coaches, other staff members, maybe out of the recruiting office or whatever. And they were answering all their questions. So then when they got in front of like Matt Rule at the end of their day, at the end of practice or whatever, Coach Rule is asking, okay, what questions do you have? And they're going, man, we asked our questions like all stinking day to the recruiting guy, and they had all the answers that we had. So there's kind of a recap in a lot of different ways, and a lot of good blah, blah, blah that's happening, like chit chat, but it's not Matt Rule at that end of the thing is not having to kind of still answer questions that, that he probably had to answer before in the past. I think that they're working out a lot of kinks to where answers are being delivered to recruits in real time, and they're being applied then basically as part of the visit, way ahead of the head man asking what else is kind of going on in your mind. So I think that's the first part. I think these guys obviously that are sticking around to go to like additional meetings like the following day, like Ryan did. I think that Cameron did as well, the 2026 cornerback from Arizona. Those are really important types of things too, where they're coming in the night before the big practice. They get the whole day the next day on campus. Next morning, they come back to campus, they hit some meetings, they say goodbye, and they catch their flight about noon the following day. That's kind of becoming the big norm, the new norm for these big stars. They're getting a full day, and it's like a half day before to get to Lincoln and a half day to get out.
Oh, interesting. All right, Munson. Well, it's time for you to start your weekend, my friend. Hopefully you're in you find the Friday vibe somewhere in the next couple minutes.
I got to go find it because the weather is not providing it to me, man. So maybe we'll get a little bit more engrossed here, thinking about some Nebraska basketball, and
there you go.
Hopefully they take home the tournament.
All right. See you later.
See you guys.
Bryan Munson, HuskerOnline.com. That's pretty interesting conversation, I think, and how I think recruiting is probably a little bit more direct now, right? Like we talk about this NIL and the house settlement and the rev sharing stuff, and we talk about it like it's really bad and it's doing this and it's opened up all these other avenues for guys in free agency and all those other things. And that's obviously still going to be there. But at the same time, I do think it has probably created some needed transparency in the recruiting. Like rosters are not unlimited anymore. And coaches can't tell these players as they're coming onto campus, we're not going to give you an offer today. Therefore, we're not going to accept your commitment. But, there'll probably be a spot a little bit later on because guys can do the math now. You could look at the writing on the wall and see that you only have this amount of spots left and this amount of guys graduating and this amount of guys coming in next year. And you could literally see it play out in front of you. Okay, here's who this program is emphasizing and prioritizing before me. You've been able to see that a little bit before, but now I just think it's more obvious, right? It's just out there, right? So you if you're a coach, you lose that ability to kind of operate in the shadows a little bit. But that's probably not the worst thing in the world. Transparency is good. It's good.
It's good.
In my opinion.
Don't have that hemming and hawing of, well, what's it gonna take to get you here?
Right. Like,
what
do we
can
actually
do?
want you here? Yeah. By the way, did you see what Mickey Joseph said yesterday? Or I guess this was yesterday.
I have seen this. I have heard about
Mickey
this.
Joseph is the Grambling State coach now.
People forget.
And he wants there to be, if his players at Grambling State, which is at the FCS level, if they go up to a group of 5 or even a power 4 school, sorry, I'm on basketball terms still, a group of 5 or a power 4 school, that Grambling or the FCS school should get compensated for that. That there basically should be contract buyouts. All right, you sign the scholarship contract with me, and I put all this work into developing you, and then after 2 or 3 years, we're not going to see the fruits of that labor. We're just going to see you go playing at Oklahoma. That doesn't seem fair. And it doesn't seem fair.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, that's kind of how it goes.
So what's going to happen?
It's kind of how it goes for these FCS schools. Mm-hmm. So Mickey Josephs is saying, can I get a little bit of a kickback here? Can you help us out? Now, I don't know what it would be.
From who?
Exactly. Where would it come from? Now, there is, maybe going to be a new governing body over the sport and things like that. But that's ultimately the question. Okay, interesting idea. I like that these FCS schools who are just getting pilfered by the group of 5 and the Power 5 programs can just be, I like that they get rewarded for developing players. That way there is incentive to still do it, and there is incentive for those players to not leave their programs high and dry, right? They get a little bit of a kickback, but how is an important question.
Very important.
Where does that money come from? But I mean, the general idea is something that's fascinating to me.
You got to pay a tax on that player if you want him. Oh, okay, then I don't want him.
I don't imagine it would be a very big deterrent.
I guess. Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, if you want a guy, go get the guy. Like, you're trying to win games. Ultimately, you've got money, right?
Yeah, by the incoming school. Like if Nebraska goes and takes a player off of South Dakota State's roster, Nebraska's got to pay that player, work out the deal with him, and then they also have to negotiate something with South Dakota State, to where there's a tier, maybe there's a tier system, and like, all right, if this guy got all conference, then you owe the departing school $100,000 or something like that.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
$50,000. And if they are something like that.
So that way there's no negotiating. It's just
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it all seems relatively far-fetched, but all of this stuff would have seemed far-fetched, like, the stuff that we have in play right now and that we're about to have in play this summer would have seemed extremely far-fetched like 5 years ago. So who knows? All right, we will be back. By the way, Whopper says this. What Joseph is suggesting is pretty similar to the transfer process of professional soccer. Teams pay a transfer fee to essentially buy the right to negotiate a contract with a player. Very Euro of Mickey Joseph. Mickey Joseph, very Euro.
That's what they've always said about him.
He's football pilled, but not that football. BC joins us next. We'll talk little Price Sanford, little Crown, and of course football. Coming up on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, Brian. Bryan Christopherson.
I gotta take this. It's Hap.
B-Rony drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry.
Bryan Christopherson, Husker 24/7 on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, joined now on the hotline by Bryan Christopherson, Husker 247. BC, hello, happy Friday. How are you?
Doing pretty well. How are you?
A little busy now. I mean, you got this Price Sanford news. You got to get out there. There's still the Crown going on. We're right smack dab in the middle of spring football right now. Kind of a lot going on.
Yeah, there's people listening who I think probably have 100 times more things going on than me, but it's good. It's a good day. It's a good day of activity. It's a day with it's got some versatility to it. So I like that. It's like a DB who can play all the positions.
Yeah, that's what today is, like a DB who could play all the positions. What do you think of the ad? Like 3-point shooting feels like it's maybe not going to be much of a problem next year for Nebraska basketball. There's a lot to fill out still, but you pair him along with a season, and that's a pretty good start from beyond the 3-point line.
Well, one of the most telling comments right after actually Price Sanford's Iowa team beat Nebraska at PBA was Fred saying how, they'd made basically 100 less 3-pointers than last year. Now they've chopped into it a little bit with the Crown going on still, but the problem, it felt like this season was, Asijan actually hit the same clip percentage-wise as Casey did the year before at like 37.6%. But you didn't have the options that you did a year ago. You didn't have Rink Mass throwing in 43 pointers, and you didn't have, Jamarcus Lawrence. And so I think it's a big deal to add a 6'7" guy who actually shot 40% from behind the arc, was in double figures his last 4 games and in 10 games this Big Ten season. So I think the people who covered him in Iowa thought he was on the uptick with a couple years left to go. And so Nebraska's hopefully getting a player on the rise, and it gives them more options where, like, if a season is off, someone else can be on, and you can kind of make up for each other.
So off-season momentum in college basketball is probably not really a thing anymore. But, Nebraska basketball making this run to the Crown semifinal and potentially beyond. You've been able to get some good things out of it. Cale Jacobson, I think, comes to mind first, and Nebraska has now proven they can effectively manage the things they need to manage in the portal while this is going on. Like, is this anything but a positive for Nebraska basketball the last week?
Well, I think it's helpful in the sense that, while you're doing your portal work, maybe some targets see how, like, Bryce Williams can really score it, in this offense, having scored 30 and 28 in the 2 games. So that's sort of playing out, as you're probably targeting some guys. And you're right, you are finding out a little bit more about a few guys on your roster. Like, I think it's important that Connor, has a good week. Like, he had a good start on Monday, and if he could have a good weekend here, that can be a vault to his confidence going forward. Obviously, to Cale's, however he is used next season, I don't know. We have to see how the roster fills out, but we're seeing that he can contribute and win games. It played 36 minutes the other night. So, yeah, nothing but positives, I think, from the trip so far. It could have been sort of an egg on your face thing. I think if you went out there and you got beat the first game, and there would have been a lot of snark to it, but I'm glad to see that they went to play, and you can't control what the other side puts on the floor. If they don't have their full team, so be it, but you got to handle your business and try to get a little momentum going.
No doubt about it. Yeah, there's no I don't think there should be any, like, there's no comparison to the regular season or the NCAA tournament or whatever. Like, you ride the ride as long as you can ride it, I think, regardless of what's in front of you. And, if you make it to the final, you win the final, there's going to be a nice little payday at the end of the rainbow there too. So I think the Crown has been good.
Gus is all in on that. I don't know if you've
Oh, I've heard. Yes, I have.
He gets it. He was big into the 50K that each side was locking up for getting into the semi. So that's only going to pick up steam now as we get to the weekend, baby.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Gus could not stop talking about this is for $50,000.
Yeah,
it's been pretty good. I also really loved the line about Andrew Morgan and his going back to the farm to grow corn and soybeans. That was awesome. Just fantastic. All right. It's a perfect event for Gus Johnson, to be honest with you, because he could be excited and he doesn't really know anything about any of the teams that he's seeing, which is fantastic. All right, football, BC. So Donovan Raiola, Glenn Thomas talked yesterday, heard from Jalen Gramstad as well. You know, offensive line is something that we could zoom in on a little bit. There hasn't been much talk. In one of the pre-spring talking points was like, okay, you know, they have a lot of offensive linemen out. There hasn't been like a ton of concern, it seems, at that position. Not that you would get that from Donovan Raiola or anybody else talking about the offensive line. But I guess, what did you take away from him yesterday? And I guess that group as spring has now progressed.
Yeah, I found him to be kind of a chatty Donovan Raiola.
More so than normal, yeah.
Yeah. It's an interesting situation he has, because he has, 4 veteran guys who are out right now. But I think it's been good for, Sam Sledge, Brock Knutson, and those type of guys to have a chance to sort of make their move and position themselves for the 2 deep. It sounds like they're getting good leadership from those older guys. And there's kind of a community feel going on. I think the Rocco Spindler addition is as significant as we thought when it happened, because I just think he's a good locker room guy, and he's really fit in as a mentor and all that stuff from everything I've heard. So that's a big deal. What's going to be interesting, though, when you get down to brass tacks is who do you feel most comfortable with at center? Like, what does that do to your left guard situation? Maybe is your center Justin Evans, who pops in the left guard. The good thing is, I think right now you're building options by trying guys at a lot of different spots. I asked him, like, is there a cutoff point, when you stop experimenting? And I wouldn't expect that to be in the spring, but I wondered if there's a point, like in the first week of fall camp, like when you're like, this is where you're at, you're settled in here. And he said up till week 1. So they're going to keep moving the puzzle pieces around. There's a ton of options at right tackle when everybody gets healthy. Yeah. Like Tyler Kanak's a name to not forget about. Henry Latofsky, I think, is going to get some work out there, who could be, a front runner. So it gets really interesting how you work it all out when the 4 other guys come back, especially after Gatula played as much as he did last year.
Maybe most importantly, though, BC, at that on the offensive line, it feels like the early returns on, Spindler for sure, but also Elijah Pritchett have come back pretty promising. Not that, it's spring and it was probably all going to be good news, I suppose, but it feels like those guys have locks on those 2 spots, right guard and left tackle. And then you allow yourself some more flexibility to kind of build the rest of the offensive line off of that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the advantages, I think, is there's so many coaches that you can put on the field now. Like, I was watching Elijah Pritchett the day we were over there, and you could have like 2 different guys worked with him on just very specific technique stuff. He's a quieter guy than Rocco, not going to be real vocal, but it looked like it was really mattering to him to get it just right. And so, yeah, you're in those early stages of trying to build up the base fundamentals, and some of it's kind of doesn't play well for like the stories we write and talking about, but it's the stuff that's got to be there and built in now, so that it's just second nature when you get to the season. We all know that, if you go off and some people could care less for fair reason about PFF grades, but Elijah had a tough go of it with some of that last year. But he's got a new setting, and I think a lot of potential, and sometimes that fresh start helps a guy. Different coaching helps a guy. And I think also some guys feed off the expectations in this world of NIL. Like, there is a lot of responsibility on my shoulders. They are expecting me to be this kind of player. I want to meet that standard. So I think there is some of that goes on, and hopefully you get the right type of guys who want to do that and kind of play to what the money is, I guess, if you just want to be frank about it.
How big of a story will the battle for backup quarterback be as we go throughout the summer and into the fall?
I think it could pick up a little steam in fall camp. It's just nice that they have Gramstad as a safety net there, and I think during the bowl game they felt more comfortable with just like how knowledgeable he is, and that he could go in and give them snaps. That was when they were working Heinrich at tight end full time, and there was still kind of that thought like, well, we could slide Heinrich in for a few snaps if we had to, and Jalen did well enough getting ready for that bowl game that they're like, you know what, let's just go full bore with Heinrich there at tight end. So that was promising. I think the biggest thing, we'll see just how quick of learners, Marcos and TJR, if they can make it a challenge or not. I don't know if they can at this point. But you know what else is interesting? Like, it makes me think about Raiola, because Marcos Davila is the same age as Dylan Raiola. And Dana mentioned the other day, like, yeah, it might take a year for those younger guys to get up to speed. You think about what Dylan did last year, that, and now he's got those snaps under his belt. It's just something to think about. Like, when there were some down moments, or it was a little bit of a roller coaster there in October. He's so far ahead of the curve from what most guys are. Where most of his peers are at. So it's just a good reminder as you kind of think about those young guys developing, that Dylan already went through that and started a season, and they're the same age.
Yeah, it's it was interesting to hear. Glenn Thomas was asked about, the backups, and I think it was specifically about Davila, like you said, and someone asked, I think, if his skill set was similar to Dylan's, and he was like, I just view them, they're just different at this point. It's like, that makes sense. So that's probably a good thing for Nebraska, right?
Yeah. And that's not to knock Marcos, but I mean, just like this is where we can go back to this for the next 5 months. You've got a 5-star guy over there who has those type of traits that are unique. He draws in guys like Dane Key, who are 4 or 5 years older, to want to come catch passes from him. And you've just got to make hay with that this year. And it can set you up for, your structure as an offense and the skill position guys you can bring in the next 2 years after that. So there's a lot on the line this offseason. I know that gets said a lot, but when you think about Dylan's storyline in particular with that, you could put a little emphasis on it.
All right, BC, enjoy your weekend. Thanks as always for stopping by. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Connor.
Bryan Christopherson of Husker 247. Get all the basketball stuff over there from him. And by the way, a YouTube commenter, Hot Danger, writes in, don't forget about Rink Math. He can shoot the three. Nebraska back to shooting threes. How much offense is going to be in the state next year?
Nebraska letting it fly?
Nebraska let it fly. Let it husk. How about that?
I like it.
Let it husk it. That's like shooting it.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't buy it?
We'll work on that. Josh has the odd news when we return on 1620 The Zone.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Johnson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Odd Son.
Josh is straightening his papers on the desk, which means it's time for the odd news.
That's how you know. That's how you know a person's ready to deliver news.
That's right. Well, it used to mean that. Now they probably just get it off of their iPads.
Their notes app.
Jeez.
What happened to this
Remember
country?
papers.
Some of us haven't forgot. We go to the Phillies broadcast from yesterday where John Kruk decided just to let it all hang out and tell us all that he was locked out of his email account.
John Kruk has many things to say.
American treasure.
I think so.
Yeah.
I find myself annoyed by him sometimes, but let's hear it.
Kruk has shared many of his bizarre and fascinating adventures throughout the years during Phillies broadcasts, so Kruk complaining about not being able to log into his email during Thursday's game against the Rockies isn't the most interesting thing. After all, he did once tell a story about being awakened by a giraffe during his playing days.
Mm-hmm.
But Kruk's email woes, frustrating to him, entertaining to us, the listeners. Kruk's problems began when he tried to log into his MLB TV account. The account, like most, is associated with an email account. That's where Kruk ran into trouble. Quote, well, in between innings, I'm toying with this MLB thing, and man, it is just winning. Did you get the password? Play-by-play announcer Tom McCarthy asked. No, it says I can't get emails on that email, Kruk said.
Okay.
McCarthy said, right, because you have to reset the password.
Mm-hmm.
And Kruk said, I know, but when I try to reset the password, I go to the new one, and it doesn't do anything.
Wow.
A very vague description of what he's experiencing.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help him out. Can't help him out based on the knowledge that I currently have. But I'm sure it wouldn't be that difficult of a problem to fix.
Interesting side note, during this conversation, the batter, and this is not a joke,
Nick Castellanos?
was Nick Castellanos. Yeah. He did not hit a home run, though.
Good. That means John Kruk will eventually probably be able to get back into his email.
Yeah, we never really got closure on that.
We'll get there.
Just sort of wandered off into the void. We go to Washington, where a 50-year-old man has appeared in court after being charged as a chicken thief. You've heard of couples, they break up and then like, oh, what do we do with the dog? Well, this couple had a chicken, Connor.
Okay.
A call for help was heard early morning, March 29th, from a woman who said her former boyfriend invaded her home and took her pet chicken named Polly. He could be heard on doorbell cameras screaming, I've got Polly, several times before running away.
I'll kill him. I'll kill him and I'll eat him.
After a brief but intense search, authorities found the man hiding in a nearby wooded area. The 50-year-old man appeared in court, was charged as a chicken thief. He could be heard yelling on police body cam footage, don't hurt my chicken. And a deputy quickly reassures him, I will not hurt your chicken.
Okay. Now, do you have to, like, do you have to tell the world that the chicken is your pet?
As opposed to,
well, some people they farm chickens.
Sure.
And if the chicken happens to die in that situation, then
it's okay.
Nobody bats an eye.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah.
But if a chicken dies as your pet, then all of a sudden, we got problems.
Mm-hmm. That is a good question by you.
I would assume you have to register it as a pet or something like that, which maybe this family did, or maybe they didn't do. I'm not sure.
According to a local news outlet, he faces a maximum of 10 years in prison, a $12,000 fine for burglary.
10 years in prison for what?
Stealing a chicken.
Did he actually steal the chicken, or was it his chicken?
Well, I believe they bought it as a couple, and now they're no longer a couple.
Yeah, but they were. You can't go to jail for 10 years for that.
No. Hey, what are you in for? I knocked off a liquor store.
Oh.
What about you? I killed a man. What about you? I stole a chicken.
I stole a chicken that was mine. Half mine, anyway.
Finally, breaking news out of the NFL this morning, and it impacts our own Joey.
Oh,
the beautiful Joey man.
Oh, I actually saw this.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell people about this.
The NFL's quote-unquote scheduling maestro, Howard Katz, is retiring. Howard Katz, who has spearheaded the creation of the NFL schedule for most of the last 20 years, will retire after the upcoming season's schedule is made official in May. Katz has played a crucial role in the development of the NFL's modern-day scheduling practices. He's the person every team and network lobbies before the schedule is released each spring, and the person they complain to after it is released.
Mm-hmm.
As the league has added more television partners and more technology, Katz's job grew even more complicated. Job of making the NFL schedule is a 24/7, 365 endeavor.
Now, it is not solely his responsibility.
I would
imagine he has a team of sorts or people that he will bounce this off of. I mean, he can't be the judge, jury, and executioner on this thing, right? There's got to be some channels, some checks,
some guardrails.
But if they need a new guy, I got a guy.
Yeah. We need to somehow, I don't know how we do this, but we got to get Joey an interview for this gig.
I don't want to lose Joey.
No.
Joey's made himself a valuable member of the team here at NRG Media and 1620 The Zone specifically. But I do think he has what it takes
to
pull this off. He has what it takes to pull this off. Yeah, he could do it.
Howard Katz was asked to highlight in his retirement announcement his the one accomplishment he holds higher than the others.
Figuring out the COVID year.
Yeah.
They played all the games.
Tuesday afternoon.
They played all the games in the COVID year. You know how many the Big Ten played? I don't know. It was probably like 60%.
We played every day of the week in that season, literally every single day of the week. The fact we got every game played is just an incredible testament to Roger Goodell and all the football operations team. Everyone who played a part in that should be really proud.
Just imagine what they're going to do now that when they add an 18th game.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be another layer to this. But I'm glad. I didn't know that there was one specific person that was, that had their name attached to
the head of it all.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that results in any tangible changes in what the schedule actually looks like. I doubt it. I mean, a lot of it is formulaic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you watch it next year, are they going to go, well, you see, now that's Howard Katz being not in the big chair.
Yeah, different people value different things. So, I mean, maybe it's an opportunity for the TV networks to have even more impact on what the schedule looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Let's put all the games on Netflix on Christmas. What if they played the whole season on Netflix on Christmas?
The whole season.
And you just binge the whole season. That's what Netflix does, right?
Yeah.
It's genius. I mean, you could play the games in the order that you regularly play the games, but they're not all on TV until they get to Netflix on Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And then you binge the season. No fast forwarding to the end either.
No skip intro.
No skipping. No. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That's the odd news. The noon hour is coming up. We have plenty to get to. Sipple will join the show. The Final Four is coming up. Baseball is being ridiculous. Josh Dix and Price Sanford. People forget.
Yeah.
And everything in between. Coming up on 1620 The Zone.
He gives you the latest sports news, interviews, and life-changing commentary with a smile on his face. Because he wears those ticklish underpants.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Friday on the Connor Happer Show here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. A reminder, we got Creighton baseball tonight on the radio.
Ping!
Join John and I for some shenanigans. How many windows will be open today?
What's the minimum?
Well, we have the luxury of the big, the giant TV booth, the Carl Ravitch booth.
Mm-hmm. Carl Ravitch Memorial.
And so they're sliding.
Booth.
There's I believe there's 6 sliding windows.
Wow.
It is a gigantic area.
Incredible.
6 sliding windows.
Imagine having a booth without opening windows.
Fortunately, they had the foresight at this ballpark in particular to be able to open the windows.
Interesting.
Which was nice. And so I've done it before where you open just 3 of them and then you look at a hole, right? You could keep one window or 2 windows on the right and 1 window on the left. You're guarded from it all depends on which way the wind's blowing. I don't know which way the wind's coming from. If it's coming right into the booth, then yeah, we're going to have to do something. But for John and I, windows closed, not an option. Wow. Not an option. Unless, of course, it is actually not an option, which sometimes is the case. Sometimes.
What troopers?
So yeah, you'll have to listen to Creighton baseball tonight to find out. Big series against UConn.
Yeah.
Creighton is in the process of announcing officially its transfer class. They've gotten the proper paperwork. It seems from Owen Freeman about an hour ago. Greg McDermott says, we're thrilled to add Owen to our program. He is a proven scorer at the high major level and is only scratching the surface in terms of his potential. Our offense will allow his versatility to be on full display. We can't wait to have him in a Blue Jay uniform. And just a moment ago, they announced officially the signing of Nick Graves, a high-scoring guard out of the University of Charlotte. Max says, quote, we were very impressed with Nick's ability to create for himself and his teammates. His ability to attack in transition and create off the dribble is a perfect fit for our up-tempo offense. Interesting.
Hello.
What up-tempo offense? Because it ain't been that up-tempo over the last couple of years. He possesses the leadership qualities that are vital for the point guard position. We can't wait for Nick and IK to be a Blue Jay. So just waiting on that Josh Dix official word at this point. But there you go. Excellent additions. Did you know that Josh Dix shot 42% from 3 last year for the Iowa Hawkeyes?
That sounds good.
That is good.
Okay. I thought
it doesn't just sound good. It is good. I mean, 65 3-pointers last year and 154 attempts. Bryce Sanford shot exactly 40% last year. He is off to be a Nebraska Cornhusker in the transfer portal, which got us the ability to see Fred Hoiberg on a plane talking on a cell phone. Josh, what were you saying before? So, by the way, we had a couple of things going off the last segment. Alex, so my idea was that you take the entire NFL season and then it just debuts on Christmas Day on Netflix, and you could just binge your way through it if you want to. Not like I guess everything that happens before Christmas. After Christmas, it's live.
Oh, okay.
After Christmas, it goes week by week with the playoffs and all that stuff. But football, it's not an idea at all. But I'm just thinking about a world where this would be the case.
Don't put it on the internet that this is an idea.
Alex Lincoln says that would be wild. You don't watch football all fall, and you just wait for the season to drop on Christmas. Nobody goes to the games. The games get played inside of a practice facility or something like that. And, the word is kept under wraps as much as possible, much like a television show.
Mm-hmm.
The word is kept under wraps. They sign NDAs and stuff like that. And then the results of the season, you'll find it out. on Netflix on Christmas Day. Thoughts? It's a great idea.
mean, it'd be
Don't put it on the internet. It's an idea, though.
Adult men would be wandering around in November and early December like children ahead of Christmas. Just how many days? How many days, honey? How many days until Christmas?
It would be. I mean, Christmas would have to move to a different day.
Yeah, we'd have to move that thing up.
Yeah. And then what was the text that you got about the?
This is a tweet.
Yeah,
from a man named Brock.
Where did you get this at you?
No, this is on the Twitter machine.
Oh, it wasn't tweeted at us in particular.
No.
Okay, here's an idea. Idea alert.
Unrealistic idea for the transfer portal. Power 4 or Big East. It's not how we do that, but okay.
I think you just call it high major.
Schools taking a mid-major transfer must schedule a true road game next season at said school for some level of compensation. At the very least, the mid-major gets a sellout crowd on their home court. To which recently extended Omaha head coach Chris Crutchfield said,
Wait. He actually commented on this?
Yes. I brought this up a year ago. We need to talk to the right people.
Whoa. Where is this coming from? Can you please give me more specifics on where this came from? Who tweeted this?
A man named Brock who...
And Brock and Crutch talked about this?
Yes. This appears to be... I don't know if this is a public figure or not, so I don't want to give his last name or anything like that.
Well, you can. He's on Twitter. He's got an idea.
Brock Wismiller.
Brock Wismiller.
Appears to have something to do with Boys Town.
Okay.
Followed by a number of Omaha University entities.
All right. And the idea is if, let's say...
Creighton would have to play at Charlotte now.
Creighton would have to play at Charlotte. Yeah. I mean, but is it... How does... Other than the game being a sellout for that university, do they get a kickback in terms of... Because usually you get a kickback if you're a mid-major or low-major school and you're going to visit the school and you get it's a buy game, right? So, something like that. But imagine that. Then you'd be... If you're Omaha and Markel Sutton jumps into the portal, you might actually be rooting for him to go to not only be in the portal, but also to go somewhere big.
Hey, go to Kansas.
Yeah, go. Why don't you go to Kansas?
Kansas, Omaha, Baxter
You're
Arena.
going to come back here next year and play as a member of the Kansas Jayhawks. Some guys, they leave in a blaze of glory and they don't want that smoke, but they'll have to deal with that smoke. What a fascinating idea. I like this. So this was along the lines of the Mickey Joseph contract buyout deal. I want some kickbacks. Yeah. If they're going to take our players, I want some kickbacks. I think we're officially in the either everything's a bad idea stage or there are no bad ideas stage. I can't tell which one, but it might be both at the same time. I'm not sure. I like it.
I for whatever reason, I don't hate it. I'm sure there's a huge drawback that I'm not thinking of, but it just sounds fun.
Would it encourage more high major schools to go get more high major transfers? That way they wouldn't have to go to play mid-major schools on the road next year, which has long been viewed as a death sentence for high major teams. That's why they don't do it anymore. If you want to go play Gonzaga, you're not going to probably go out there and play Gonzaga. You're either going to play them in Seattle or you're going to play them at the Maui Invitational or something like that. Now Gonzaga has risen above mid-major kind of status, I guess, in college basketball. So maybe they're a bad example, but St. Mary's, something like that.
What is? Sorry, Kelvin. What is Gonzaga?
What is Gonzaga?
They're not high major, are they?
I think they have risen above.
They are, but their conference isn't,
because nobody is taking Gonzaga's players.
That's true.
And
that's a destination.
I shouldn't say nobody. It's certainly possible that those players would transfer. Right. That's the destination. But yeah, there'd be some details to work out in that regard. Okay. A couple texts here. Jeff writes in.
Hi, Jeff.
Would Hap think anyone would be a bad addition to Creighton? I wondered about Jemiah Neal last year. I was like, what
was the fit?
Yeah, I was like, what are they going to do with that? What are they going to do with a 30% 3-point shooter and a high volume? Like, that's not a Creighton guy. Well, worked out. So I've just kind of been proven wrong at every turn. So I guess the answer to your question, Jeff, is no. But these guys who are versatile offensive pieces who have shown their ability to score, they actually do seem like really good fits for Creighton. Jeff is triggered.
Does anyone rooting for any team
think that you have a bad addition ever?
We got someone in the portal. I don't like it.
Yeah.
No.
Nobody's ever thought that.
You won.
No. Nobody's ever thought that. So Sipple will join us here in a little bit. We'll catch up on football.
With Sipple's thoughts on the Crown.
Sipple's thoughts on the Crown. Sipple wrote about the basketball. He had some notes on the basketball transfer portal this morning in his tunnel talk.
What?
Well, he talks to people. He's connected in the
extremely.
He's connected in the agent world and stuff like that as well. So, he actually pointed out Josh Dix in his section of the tunnel talk, which is behind a paywall. So I don't want to say exactly what he said in there, but he pointed out Josh Dix and mentioned what the price tag might be worth and how many schools out there might be able to pay that price tag. And he did point out that he probably is unavailable to a school like Nebraska, but might be affordable to a school like Creighton.
Oh. And then that happened.
He also said Indiana and Illinois were the other two that were kind of in the mix there, and there was some Kansas buzz, I guess, at one point. But are we actually seeing this play out in front of our eyes? With the settlement and all of these things, and now you're going to have to devote all this money to football and the $20.5 million, and they got football to worry about. The football schools have football to worry about, and the basketball schools, how much money are they in for? But their priority number one is basketball. If the price tag was what the price tag was being bantied about with Josh Dix, I mean, Creighton is all of a sudden like a major player in the paying player space in college basketball. It was a big number that was being tossed out there. Creighton's always had a really good, they have operated really efficiently, I think, in the NIL space over the last couple of years. And obviously there's a lot of NIL that they had on their roster last year that is not going to be there anymore. So that opens up a little bit, but also maybe some more comes in, and there is more, I guess, want and demand from the fan base to keep this thing going as long as you possibly can. Okay. Well, we'll pony up. Creighton operating like a big time program right now from what it looks like. From the 402.
Hi, 402.
Freeman is so good. Happer can come up to section 220 and be a free man with his shirt off.
Whoa.
All right. Section 220 boys are here again.
Hey, you've never been up here to see us, but when you do come up here, take your
No,
shirt
I went
off.
up there. Don't people forget. I went up there. Just the once, though.
Maybe you can bring the new recruits to the 220 section.
Maybe, Josh. Maybe. All right. So yes, it is a very good addition there for Creighton basketball and what they did in the transfer portal over the last couple of days. Don't have the official announcement from Creighton on Josh Dix yet, but it's on Instagram, so it's relatively official. at this point. Want to hear from you guys today on the show, 402-951-1620 on the hotline. You can call or text that number, tweet at Happer Show, at Connor Happer. O-Trips is in the comments right now in the YouTube comments tweeting about the dinner, which we did talk about the dinner and what the dinner was. A little bit
Could have used you then, O-Trips.
Yeah, but I'm glad we got to the bottom of it. But we will take a phone call here. I think Josh
said he wants to be on.
All right, that's cool. Hey, Larry, what's up?
Hey, I'm trying to get hold for a few weeks. Got a quick question. Where do you think Jaden Dawson stands in the mix of all this? 'Cause I was really hoping he surfaced at Creighton, but I'm not sure Creighton's going to take him as a guard now. I'm just going to hang up and listen to your guys' answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Appreciate it.
I'm trying to get a hold of you for a couple weeks.
Hey, I'm available. I'm right here 10 to 2 every day, baby. I don't do much. I ain't hard to find.
That's what they say.
Yeah, I don't know. I know I'd heard, obviously we're talking about a local kid who played his high school basketball at Central and has spent the last couple of years at Loyola Chicago. What are you pointing at?
Yeah, I'm excited. People want that.
Oh, you want?
We love a homecoming, don't we, folks?
We do. Well, you already got one. Josh Dix. Creighton is Council Bluffs, right?
Why not more? Yes.
I think they still probably need some wing help. I don't think he would be a bad addition to the deal. I don't know where they stand with him. I don't know what their pursuit of him, if there is a pursuit. I don't know what that looks like, but in my opinion, I think he seems like a reasonable player to potentially add to the deal if everything checks out. But I don't know. I don't know what Creighton's board looks like. But you do love a local guy. So sorry I can't give you specifics on that because I just don't know him. But yeah.
You don't have sources? You're not talking? Nobody's talking to you?
I don't like bothering people, Josh.
You really don't.
I really don't like bothering.
I feel like you could be an insider if you just sent a couple more texts each day.
I know, but then I'd be sending texts all the time. I just wait for if people.
I guess
if people want to tell me stuff, then they could tell me stuff.
I just wish that you were a little bit more like Josh Peterson, where sometimes he walks in here and he's like, my source tells me that blah 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 blah.
I know. Yeah,
I'm like, wow, that just sounds really cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess no, I'm not really like that.
No, you're not.
Yeah, Josh and I were going back and forth about something, a couple weeks ago, and he's like, Did you talk to anybody? Did you reach out to anybody? I'm like, no.
Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, news will come out if it comes out.
It is not.
The news does not come out. The news does not come out at this point, no. Before we get to Sipple, maybe we talk about some NIL with him. Josh, I have a couple baseball things for you.
Oh, yes. I love the baseball stories we have today.
So we have, I actually think this is pretty fascinating. This is from Derek Gould, who covers the Cardinals for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Apparently, after the game on, Tuesday, Cardinals players were told that if they touch their helmet sarcastically to suggest that they're challenging a pitch, as they did in spring training with ABS, they would be immediately ejected by the umpire. So once again, the signal to challenge a pitch, if you are the hitter, if it's called a strike on the outside corner, and you say, I don't think that was on the corner, I'd like to challenge that pitch, you tap your head. And in spring training this year, and in minor league baseball for the last several years, they implemented a challenge system where it will pop up on the replay board and the ABS will tell you whether you were right or whether the umpire was right. But that is not a thing in regular season Major League Baseball. But apparently it's a thing where players are sarcastically doing that just to show their protest for umpires here in the early portion of the season. It's like, hey, just so you know, I would have challenged that thing
if we were doing this,
and you would have been wrong. And they were told if they do that, they will be immediately, no questions asked, ejected from the baseball game. Can umpires just get a little softer?
I mean,
come on.
It is very soft.
It is incredibly soft.
However,
oh, you're going team ump on this one, Josh?
You cannot argue balls and strikes.
Sure you can.
No.
Sure you can. You can argue balls and strikes all you want. I see people do it all the time. They turn back to the umpire and say, I don't think so, buddy.
Hey.
It happens all the time. I know that they say, well, you can't argue balls and strikes, but you actually can.
But what's the showiest way to do that? Tapping your helmet for the world to see.
Yeah. And then guess what? They show it on replay on the broadcast, and they're like,
And 6 inches outside the K zone. Connor loves the K zone.
Part of the beauty of the challenge system is that sometimes the hitter is so confident that he has been wronged, he challenges the pitch, and it turns out that he was the idiot, and he was wrong, and the umpire was right, and then he has to walk back to the dugout while everybody watches him and laughs.
High risk, high reward.
You are a big idiot. Exactly.
Thought you had one there.
That's the game inside the game, Josh.
Okay.
So I say umpires are way soft.
Incredibly soft move.
You deserve
but I
to
get it.
You deserve to get laughed at sometimes.
Oh, no, that we agree on that.
I just thought that was a bit of an overreaction. By the way, the umpires on the game that was apparently the Cardinals were told about this. Doug Eddings, Mike Machlinski, Gabe Morales, and Emil Jimenez.
They missed like 20 calls in that game.
There's
right?
a lot of buzz around it being Mike Machlinski, who was the first base umpire in that game, probably the crew chief. I was like, hey, if you guys start tapping your helmets, we're going to run you.
Had enough of it.
We're going to run you.
It's the first week, sir.
Yeah. Umpires are back, ladies and gentlemen. Baseball is back, which means umpires are back. And the show is, of course, about the umpires. The other baseball story that I'd like to get to here before we talk to Sipple is a story from Britt Giroli in The Athletic today, which details how cheap Major League Baseball players are.
I started reading this to prepare for the segment, and then I said, no, I want all my reactions to be pure. I have to stop reading.
So, baseball players, there's a stereotype, right? These guys have been playing baseball throughout their lives. Baseball is like almost a year-round sport, depending on where you live. And they don't have a lot of time to do other things. They don't care about other things. They don't have other interests.
They don't.
And it's just like, I play baseball. Really no better exemplified than a person like Zach Greinke, who went viral after telling Yahoo Sports in 2009 he was boycotting Chipotle's guacamole. Quote, I mean, $1.50 is already pretty darn high, and now they changed it to $1.80, and I'll never again get guacamole. It's not about the guacamole. I just don't want to let them win, is what Greinke said at the time. And 15 years later, a small side of Chipotle's guacamole is $2.65. Greinke's thoughts remain a common sentiment among MLB players. Scott Barlow, former Royal, current Cincinnati Red, said, Greinke was on a kick for a while. It's the principle. And many MLB players have taken this same approach to life. I'm not going to spend my money. Here's Whit Merrifield. He's currently a free agent. Another former Royal. It's funny when music is playing in the clubhouse and someone has their phone hooked up and an ad comes on. Guys will yell, you're a big leaguer making millions of dollars and you can't pay $11.99 for Spotify. You ever golfing with somebody and then the Pandora's on and then the ad comes up? You should buy Pandora Unlimited for $8.99 a month. It's like, wait a minute, you don't have this? You're just playing old school Pandora? What is this?
Raw dogging it.
Ryan McMahon, the Rockies, says, my wife is on her cousin's Spotify, so I just use that. He uses his wife's cousin's Spotify to play music in the Rockies locker room.
This was the section that I kept laughing, and I said, I have to stop. This is too good.
Jake Cronenworth said, I don't buy music. It's a pretty useless purchase. I like to drive in silence. Total silence.
I feel you on that one. That's me.
All right. So then we, and another person followed up on the Spotify thing. Hayden Birdsong from the Giants. I'm not paying for any apps. I'm on my mom's Spotify. Tyler Glasnow. There's just something about buying an app. I don't want to give them $2. It's about the principle, basically.
Hell yeah.
Sharing. We're talking about sharing Netflix accounts and logins and things like that. How about clothes? Matt Strum, former Royal of the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm not going to just buy new clothes because I want to. I need clothes to buy clothes.
Okay.
Joe Musgrove.
What's the threshold of need versus want?
Joe Musgrove, San Diego Padres. You know how in elementary school you go back to school shopping and you get a few pairs of jeans and a couple t-shirts to last you the year? I still do that same exact thing.
Well, his sunscreen budget is so high.
These people do not have girlfriends or wives. And in some cases they do, and their wives look at them and they're like, honey, we are rich.
We're very, very well to do.
You make $10 million a year. And can you buy yourself some clothes that fit and that don't have holes in them?
And I have a quote unquote fashion line during the season where I bedazzle jeans for other baseball wives.
Seth Lugo, Kansas City Royals.
Oh no.
I hate paying for shipping. I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah, we all do.
I don't think you could avoid that.
Poll
Seth.
question up at Happer Show. Do you hate paying for shipping?
Austin Riley, Atlanta Braves.
Oh, my guy.
There was something. It was a hunting gadget, I think. It was like $6 and the shipping was $8. I was like, I'll just go buy it somewhere.
Okay. That's just smart.
Jesse Chavez, Atlanta Braves.
Well, not anymore.
And a processing fee? Processing? What is processing? Where did that come from? When you use the DoorDash and it's an extra couple bucks to have someone deliver you the food, I tell my wife, no way. We're not getting the DoorDash. We're going to pick it up. Sure, it takes you 15 to 20 minutes to go pick it up and probably you're spending that money on gas, but delivery is something I'm not okay with wasting my money on. This is a professional Major League Baseball player.
I oftentimes go, you know what? Bleep it. I ain't leaving the house. Bring those tacos to me.
How about flying? Tristan McKenzie. I look at first class seats, but I don't ever buy them.
What?
Matt Vierling, Detroit Tigers. I still drive my car from college. It's a 2012 Ford Escape. It broke down on the highway on me in September. Birdsong.
What?
I've got a 2015 Ford Fusion. Paul Sewald. I had my first car, a Toyota 4Runner, for 13 years in the big leagues and only upgraded in 2021 because we got pregnant and needed a bigger car.
Yeah, you don't have to get a Maserati. You can get a sensible four-door sedan.
Vierling, again, I was driving an even older car before. The Escape was used when I got it. It had 65,000 miles on it. Now it's got like 172,000 miles and we're still rolling. I'm going to try and ride it out for another year. I got everybody in my family saying, it's not safe. You should get another car. And I'm just like, not yet. I will ride it until it dies.
And the thing about cheap people, they love telling you how cheap they are or where like the most drastic thing they've done for a deal. So, I mean, yeah, whoever wrote this article probably got these players singing like canaries.
How about groceries?
Outdated term.
Groceries. Jake Diekman. We know Jake.
We do.
The other day at self-checkout, I was like, where are all the bags? And the lady said, you have to buy them. It was wild. I only bought 2, though. Now, I've never been to a place where you have to buy the bags. That's pretty out of control.
Aldi? He was at an Aldi, I bet.
Tristan McKenzie, if I needed medicine, I'm definitely getting Target brand ibuprofen.
Well, yeah. Why wouldn't you?
So your takeaway from a lot of this is just these guys are just being smart.
These are just regular people.
How about buying, booze? Diekman again. You have to go to Costco, the number one seller of wine in the world. I feel like everyone trying to save should go to Costco, grab yourself a hot dog, and get some wine. Stephen Kwan, you got to buy milk in bulk. I'm not playing around. Go get toothpaste I'm not playing around going to get toothpaste 5 or 6 times. I'm going to get the 10-pack and let that ride out.
Well, it's only going to get more expensive. So, yeah, it doesn't expire. Pick it up.
Once again, this article is from The Athletic. Here's Logan O'Hoppe from the Los Angeles Angels. Don't hate me, but even though it's $1, I refuse to pay for The Athletic. Even if my name is in it, my ego gets in the way, and I don't want to pay for it. Editor's note, subscribe now for just $1 a week for 4 weeks.
The Athletic is a great service, and I subscribe to it.
O'Hoppe follows up. I'm not paying that damn $1. It's the principle. I will read the first paragraph before the paywall, so I guess I'm too cheap to read this article. So there are Major League Baseball players, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic.
Major League Baseball players are also really weird in that they're incredibly bold in that they would say to the reporter's face, I'm not paying to read your publication. Whereas a normal person would go, oh, yeah, no, I'm familiar with The Athletic. Yes, of course.
We're also talking about like 30-year-old white guys too, who like have, once again, maybe they've had a wife or a girlfriend for like a long time and they don't see them very often. And, they just live a certain way. They haven't grown up.
Mm-hmm.
They've been playing baseball their entire life. They were drafted at age 18. They became a millionaire and nothing changed. Nothing happened. They just kept being 18 years old.
True. It's kind of stunts your growth in that way. Platcat on the YouTube stream. Imagine if they knew what we're shelling out for Ken Palm.
They would never buy. They all get their own MLB TV subscriptions. The league comps them.
But John Kruk can't get into
That's how they study. That's how they watch. That's how they prepare for the games. Steve Sipple is up next. I wonder if he has anything to say about this.
Oh, he'll have thoughts.
On 1620 The Zone.
Steve Sipple,
Hut, hut, hey!
The conversation gets even more uncomfortable, okay?
Omaha!
Steve Sipple on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
All right. Time to talk to our close personal friend, Steve Sipple from HuskerOnline.com. Hi, Sip.
Connor, how are we doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Just good. I mean, I'm looking forward to our chat. I'm always, I guess the hesitancy is not anything except I'm always full of anticipation where this is going to go.
Well, I haven't fake Sippled you in a long time, so it's not going to be that crazy.
You did.
You think I should bring it back?
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. So yeah, I mean, I think every so often it would be fun to spring it on me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'll try and mix it back in there. I almost forgot about it for a little while. We were just talking about Major League Baseball players being like notoriously cheap, and all these people were on the record talking about how they don't spend money on anything. They had big problems with DoorDash. Do you have a big problem with DoorDash, food delivery in general? Have you ever DoorDashed anything?
I have zero problem with it. I've never done it. But I know people that do. I know people that deliver. And it makes sense to me only to a certain extent. The fees seem really high to me, which is why I would never. I mean, come on, I'm 58. I'm just of an age where you just go out and get your food. I mean, but I get it. I'm not everybody's my age, and they do things differently, and that's one thing that's different.
You don't see, yeah. You also seem like the kind. I mean, you're always in your car too, so it's it doesn't seem like you would have that much of an issue of like pulling yourself off of the couch and jumping in the car and driving 10 minutes to grab something.
No, it's a good conversation. There's a lot. As you get older, you don't need to eat that much either. I just don't like. If I eat a somewhat substantial meal, at like right now is what I'm going to do. It'll be about 1:00. That's it. That's it for me for the day. I don't need to eat anything else. So,
do you think that's true, or do you think that's just for you? Like, I've never heard that. Like, as you get older, you just don't need to eat very much.
No, you'll ask your father. I'm your other father, but ask your real father, and I think he would share that sentiment with you.
Okay. All right. Well, I will ask. I'll see if anybody else wants to comment on that. If they feel like they don't need to eat as much anymore in their older age.
Might have something light. Like tonight, I'll have something light. I got some dried apricots that I'll snack on. But that's about the extent of it.
Wow. I didn't peg you as a dried apricots guy. I kind of thought you were like a, beef jerky guy or something.
Got some beef jerky sitting right here. Some maple and brown sugar beef jerky from Smoking Gun, and I do munch on that too.
How about those beef jerky prices? It's not just Smoking Gun either. I mean, you got to be willing to really fork it over if you're paying for beef jerky these days.
Worth it.
Worth it. Wow. Okay. All right. We're going to talk about football. We're 2 weeks deep into spring practice right now for Nebraska. I'm just going to leave it open for you. What do you, as you've gotten to, talk with the round of coaches now, basically all the way through amongst the staff, do you have any like major or mildly major takeaways after the first couple weeks, whether it be any personnel things or how it feels to you right now? Like when you go over there, is there anything that you've sort of taken away from a big picture sense of the first couple weeks here?
Yeah, there are a few things. Just let's keep it in the immediate. I thought that Donovan Raiola seemed more at ease than I've ever seen him at Nebraska. Now I wasn't there yesterday, but I watched his video twice. And I had another situation yesterday. I seldom would miss, but I did happen to miss it. But I watched the video. He just seemed talk for 10 minutes, which is, I know people don't quite understand the significance of that. 10 minutes is a long time for Donovan to take questions. It usually it could go as low as 4 or 5, might go 7, but this went 10. And then just the way he addressed the questions, I thought that told me kind of what I expected, which I think they're going to be pretty good up front, and he knows it. They're in a pretty good spot up front now. It really helps. Like, I'll give you an example. Now, he didn't say this yesterday, but I'm hearing it. He alluded to it because he was asked to, but Pritchett, Elijah, and Spindler, Rocco have been big hits so far. That's working.
Yeah. That's the sense I got too.
Yeah, they're that's working, and that is a big relief, especially this spring with Latovsky out and Turner Corcoran out and Teddy out, Teddy Prohaska out and Gunnar Gatula out. I mean, you needed to develop. You needed some level of development this spring. So now you got Pritchett playing well, Spindler playing well. Looks like Justin Evans at center. That's kind of a development. It's not, hey, listen, that's not set in stone, but it's trending that way, that Evans will move from left guard to center. I feel comfortable saying that. So you got 3 pretty much linchpins in there that you feel good about: Pritchett, Evans, Spindler. And then, you got to fill out around them a little bit and then wait for those other guys to get healthy.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a pretty good picture to me.
Yeah.
Up front on the offensive line. And you're right. You never really know until you know, I guess. But I mean, we've seen transfers come in before, and just we hear the line of, it's going to take them a little while to acclimate and all these different things. Like, those guys seem to have, Pritchett and Spindler, I think in particular, seem to have jumped to the front of the line pretty easily.
Yeah.
Like Spindler, definitely, even with some leadership being thrown on top of that. That's huge.
Well, I think that they're very comfortable talking a little more about Spindler for just one real basic reason. He's vocal. And Elijah, like Dana Holger just said, Elijah doesn't talk. He's not as, he's just not that guy. He's not as old. I mean, Elijah Pritchett's, if he's a junior or sophomore, Pritchett's younger. Rocco's definitely he's a grown man. He's in his 5th year. So there's a comfort. Pritchett, what I'm getting at is maybe in 2 years, Pritchett's talking a lot more and being more vocal. But I think you hear a little bit more about Rocco just because of his personality. I think Pritchett is the more talented lineman.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it's working well there. And then the other takeaway, a big takeaway with Gramstat was this sort of media push towards, this is a nice little story. You coming from Northwestern, it must be crazy to be playing with these level of players. And man, you went to a place called the Horseshoe. What was that like? And he's like, yeah, well, I mean, I played in NAIA and there were some loud crowds, and I played with good players at Northwestern. I loved his answers, and I love that he didn't play that cute little underdog.
Yeah.
Too much. And I love that he said twice he'd like to play in the NFL. That is great to hear. I would think if you're a Nebraska fan, because it indicates a high level of confidence, but it also indicates he must be playing well enough that, at least in his mind, he's progressed to a level where he can talk publicly about his desire to play in the NFL. And that's what stopped me. I was like, wait, wow, okay, good. That's good. That's good for Nebraska.
I thought John Butler was interesting in sort of his approach the other day. Obviously he didn't, the main thing that people are taking away is, well, he didn't single out individual players, which is, like that's fine. But I thought he seemed really, pretty straightforward, which is good. Like, as I was explaining this on, the day after he talked, it feels like it's the talking point around here is talking about football in this kind of, static, like kind of nebulous sort of way, like, hey, we got to develop and get to this point. It just feels like there's a lot more straightforward. This is what it is. And yeah, I think some people would liken that to an NFL environment these days, but I really sense that with Butler.
Oh yeah, I think I know what you're getting at there, and I'm with you. And you know, you always got to keep in mind on a staff on any staff, but now these staffs are getting so big, you're going to get a lot of variation of what kind of guys are there. Not everybody is Mike Eckler. You know, not everybody can go to a podium and wow you and be funny and
yeah,
you know, inspire you at that. At that, it's not everybody's like that. And I would expect it. It doesn't mean you can't be a very good coach. Butler's just more to the point. That's not, you know, it's probably not his favorite part of coaching, but I think John Butler's what I care about most is the football element. There's no question he knows what he's doing. Now, you could say the podium part, there is some importance to that because he does have to go to a podium every day or wherever, appear before the entire defense and inspire and talk to them in a way that is engaging. And I just think he can probably do that. I've had enough conversation with him personally that he's an interesting guy and he's engaging enough. But this is all kind of new to him, you know? I mean, again, it's kind of like the Elijah Pritchett conversation. The way he is at a podium in front of a room full of reporters now is one thing. It may be a little different in 4 years if he's the defensive coordinator. You know, there might be more comfort and a little bit more, I don't know, just willingness to let down your guard a little bit.
Do you have any more insight on kind of that Phil Snow role? And I thought it was interesting to hear Butler talking about that and how he said it was going to be, you know, a tremendous growth experience for him. But like, do we have any more insight on what that is functionally and how that works for Nebraska's defense this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that insight has come in a couple interviews, including John's the other day, where Snow will be he'll walk around and coach, and Snow alluded to it himself. It won't be the same position every day. He'll go where he probably feels is necessary. I doubt he does it willy-nilly, but he was coaching the defensive backs the other day, and as Butler alluded to, and just said he's coaching his ass off. And it seems the key is that they feel good about the relationship. Butler, come on, I mean, if you're just getting right down to it, you wonder a little if Butler would feel threatened. It didn't seem like that. If you just want to be plain spoken about it, but it doesn't seem like that at all. And God, what a great situation, you know, to have this younger 51-year-old John Butler sort of, I would say, rising and probably really hungry. I bet you John is really hungry to prove himself as a coordinator, because this is what he wanted. This is what he wanted. At Buffalo, he wanted to advance. He didn't advance. He didn't like it, and he's not there now, probably because of that. Now he's advanced, and I just think he's probably hungry as hell to improve himself. And here's this 70-something, I think Snow's in his 70s, it's close, upper 60s, whatever he is, there, who's seen everything, and is still, I guess, with it, because it can be really helpful. So I love the picture. I think it could work out really well.
Yeah. All right, Sipple, what do you got on tap this weekend? Anything you're excited about the Final Four games?
I'm real. I advise people not to try to contact me starting at 8:09 on Saturday, because I can't wait for Duke Houston.
Hell yeah!
I got to work. Yeah, I got to work, and now Rule will have a press conference tomorrow at 12:15. That'll dominate my. I won't see the Crown game for there's no shot of that. But hopefully, and I got a little bit of stuff I need to do between the hours of 5 and 8. But at 8 o'clock, I'll be watching hoops.
You bet. All right, Sip, enjoy your weekend. Talk to you later.
God bless you. I hope you guys have a good weekend.
We will. Talk to you soon. All right, there he goes. Steve Sipple. God bless him. God bless him. Old people don't need to eat, especially when they got beef jerky.
What a take.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
Upon further review, The host's last statement was deemed to be somewhat comical. Somewhat. The Connor Happer Show returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the
Josh, I regret to inform you that I'm old.
You're old. You don't like to eat?
Well, that part hasn't hit me yet.
Okay.
That's a different kind of old. People my age are getting inducted into Hall of Fames.
Oh, really?
The Nebraska High School Sports Hall of Fame. All right. Here's some people. Shaquille Barrett, Boys Town, class of 2009.
That tracks.
Deverell Biggs, who I graduated with from Central in 2010. Aaron Kloster, from 1961 at Creighton St. Ludger. I've never heard of that school. Ron Coleman, North, 2010. My age. Josh. Karen Chris, Omaha Marion, 2006. Chris Dishman, Cozad, 1991. Ashley Hagman Ford, Elkhorn, 2008.
Wow.
Wilburn Hollis, Boys Town, 1958. Jordan Hooper, Alliance, 2010. Chad Myers, Gross, 2010. Darren Ruff, Westside, 2005. Brooke Schwartz, Gehring, 1996.
This is a giant class.
It's a big class.
With a lot of people who could headline a singular class.
I remember competing against a lot of the people that I just mentioned. Some of the people that I just mentioned.
Jordan Larson?
Well, I never competed against. She's not on the list.
Oh, I thought you said she was.
Jordan Hooper.
Jordan Hooper. Jordan Larson from Happer.
Never competed against Jordan.
Okay.
Hooper. But I'm familiar. Met her before. Coaches. Paul Baronic, Ravenna. Brad Feakin, the late Brad Feakin from Gretna.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Greco, Westside. Jake Moore, Marion. Sue Weewell from Fremont. Some officials in the Hall of Fame as well.
Officials?
Yeah, shout out to all these people, man. Who are going in the Nebraska High School Sports Hall of Fame.
Seriously, you said like 4 people that could be the headliner of a class.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely some big ones. The former Huskers, obviously on the list as well. The class will be honored September 14th with an induction ceremony at the Lincoln East High School Auditorium. But I read this list and I was like, damn. Class of 2010 dudes are getting in on this thing. This is not good.
Now you want to be in a hall, don't you? You want the call.
I have the self-awareness to know that I do not deserve to be in any Hall of Fame.
I don't.
They'd have to make a Hall of Fame specifically for something that I did at a Hall of Fame level, which I don't think there's anything. I mean,
well, you have the problem of going to a very distinguished high school with many.
No, but they'd have to make like a Hall of
Great.
Fame of you know, Hall of Fame of
very good.
Hall of Fame of playing for 10 minutes on senior night or something like that.
Still
you know,
counts.
Hall of Fame of what did I do and what else did I do in like as a child? Hall of Fame of like, you know, having a good summer on JV. Now there you go.
Seen a lot of promise in Happer. He had a good summer in JV.
I had quite a summer on JV one summer. After that, it really did a nosedive. I was JV good. I was varsity okay, and you know that I played in college for a second, and then I was done. That was it. No Hall of Fames for me, Josh.
Now, if you were like me, and there's not many alumni from your high school,
Hall of Fame of having many jobs.
Oh yeah, first ballot. That's
okay.
you.
Think about that.
Put me in the Hall of Fame, cowards.
Yeah, Travis says put Josh in the Burke Hall of Fame. Cowards. He lives here.
I do live here still.
Yep.
Talk very highly of Omaha Burke High.
Yep. Kenneth says me, handshake meme, Happer old at 33.
Oh yeah.
Well, Kenneth, you're in my class. Great. This is awesome.
Good to know how old everyone is.
I know Platt Cat's about my age. Maybe he's a year younger. Was so embarrassing to have to high jump against Deverell.
Oh no.
Deverell had no he had like no training in the high jump. He would just go out there and jump high. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't a high jumper. He was he was a guy who jumped high. That dude is a heck of an athlete.
And it worked.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
Hot Danger said Hap was reading his JV press clippings. They put the JV scores in the paper back in the day.
They did.
Yeah.
What a
Do
time.
they still put the scores in the paper?
I don't.
You still have to call the scores into the paper?
That's a great question.
I don't know. I don't know what goes on in the paper. Now people are just talking about how high Deverell could jump. But I mean, seriously. And he single-handedly, you know, our senior year brought our school a state championship. I mean, single-handedly, I guess is a little bit strong. There were maybe some friends of mine who are listening to this right now, and they're like, "Hey, I was on that team." It's like, yeah, you helped. That was nice. He had like 35 out of 52 points in the semifinal game against Lincoln Southeast. That was good. And then a very memorable game, the senior my senior year, we played Norfolk in the state championship game, and they brought their entire town to the now John Cook Arena at Bob Devaney Sports Center. And
wordy title.
There was legit 15,000 people there, and it was all Norfolk, and it was not. It was an environment, Josh. It was an environment.
Did it break you?
Oh no, we won.
Okay,
we won.
Good.
Ain't breaking me. What broke us was the year before we didn't make the state tournament. That was a problem. I say
That'll
this as if I
motivate
was
you.
on the basketball team. I was not.
That was your unfinished business season.
Exactly. I was in the front row cheering loudly. That's all.
That's just as important.
All right. We'll take a break. The 1 o'clock hour is coming up. Final four. Anybody interested?
I could dabble.
All right. Sipple is. We know that. Be like Sipple.
Don't talk to him.
Back after this on 1620 The Zone.
let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Josh, I just went out to the sink. There's a note there. It's written in your voice.
Oh, no.
I can't hear. I think someone is trying to frame you. We're writing a note.
What a dastardly plot.
Really? Because I can't read this in anything other than your voice.
Oh, no.
You tell me.
Okay.
What? This is in our office. What is wrong with you?
Good start.
Triple spaced. Large text. Don't put food in the sink. There is a trash can right there. Put that food in the trash can. At least clean it when you're done. Be an adult. I'm begging you.
I got a hunch you wrote this.
You wrote this.
No.
You wrote this.
I absolutely did not. I would not have time to do such a thing.
Well, who put the soup in the sink?
Yeah, somebody poured like their chicken noodle soup into the sink, and the trap caught all of the chicken
as it does
because
it's a sink. Yeah,
and I don't know what we're doing here.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you just you got to get rid of that. You got to get rid of the soup any way you can. You don't have very much time. From the text line, we have our first accusation.
Whoa.
Is this young Matt? Isn't he dirty as hell? Aaron says. He does leave his stuff everywhere.
He does.
I don't know. I'm not. I don't have any guesses, and I refuse to guess on both who wrote the note and who committed the alleged crime in this situation.
I'm gonna guess.
No. You're not gonna guess.
I'm not.
Not out loud.
Okay.
Not on this show.
Okay. I'll tell you in the
You're gonna guess who
wrote the note.
Who wrote the note?
Uh-huh.
Is it someone in our station?
Yeah, I think so.
Really? I have him as the super.
Oh.
We're talking about Nick, right?
Yeah, of course.
I think he's a more likely soup dumper than note writer.
What if he did both? So, hey, they'll never guess.
And then he just takes the note down after a couple days.
Uh-huh.
The point is across.
There's fewer people than ever to guess who was the soup dumper and the note writer.
It's true. Aaron says we know it's not Josh.
Yeah,
you, because you have teeth.
I have teeth.
Absolutely. Old man Doug writes in, should NRG have a garbage disposal? Poll question. Mike Schaefer writes in.
Hi, Schaefer.
Please spend the next hour accusing various people at NRG of putting food in the sink and allowing them to come on air and clear their names.
I think it's a better use of time than anything else we would be doing.
Hey, no, we're going to talk about the Final Four. Steve Sipple's Final Four.
He's requested you not contact him.
He is in the portal, and he has a do not contact tag next to him when the second game starts. Duke and Houston. 7:49, by the way. So he's asking that you can contact him for the first 20 minutes of that game.
But afterwards.
Yes. Josh, this is all gut. This is all guts at this point.
Okay.
Right? I think we got 4 very evenly matched teams here. I agree with Sipple that Duke and Houston is the preferable game to me, but the Florida Auburn game is going to be, it's going to be beautiful in terms of the I think the style of basketball that those teams will be playing and the quality of shot making in those games. Like Pettiford for Auburn is going to be doing his thing, and they have a bunch of great 3-point shooters and Creighton and all the guys around him. Those teams are capable. Obviously, they're really good at playing, on the defensive side, but I don't know that either of those teams, Florida Auburn, will be able to like flex their physicality muscle because the other side just kind of cancels out that. So I think I lean offense in the first game. 5:09, by the way, CBS, Iron Eagle, Bill Raftery, Grant Hill. Can't forget about Tracy Wolfson.
Coverage beginning on 1620 The Zone at 2 o'clock.
Whoa!
I know.
And the game's at 5.
I have triple checked this, Connor.
Featuring Kugler. Isn't it Kugler?
I believe so.
Kugler and Robbie Hummel?
Usually is.
Is there going to be some Nick Baugh in this? I heard that he's headed down there to provide some sort of analysis. That guy's everywhere these days.
I think it's just, hey, I'll be walking around the Riverwalk. I'm Nick Baugh. If you'd like,
if you'd like to check in,
if you'd like my takes,
we have the opportunity for you. Okay. All right. So I think that offense will probably have the day, and it comes down to shot making in that Florida Auburn game. But give me, I'm getting 2.5 with Auburn.
Feels good, doesn't it?
I guess so. But I don't like to pick, like, in a situation like this where the two teams are close. I just would rather pick the team that I think is going to win, and I think my answer is the Gators. I think I'm going to chomp, Josh.
You're going to chomp.
I think I'm going to chomp. I think I'm going to do the chomp.
You're going to outright chomp?
Well, I mean, they're the favorite.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll just chomp, 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 and then
they're going to be the champion.
No.
Oh.
Because as I've said all year, Houston is going to be the champion.
That's right. You have said that a lot.
Houston will spoil the Cooper Flag coronation and the Duke party. There's going to be a huge Duke party if Duke wins. I hate Duke parties.
They're not fun.
But this is kind of a fun Duke party at the moment. It's an enjoyable watch. It's an enjoyable team. But people are not giving Houston enough credit for what they do on the offensive side. They're just not. In my opinion,
Houston's gonna ugly it up.
Yeah, and obviously they absolutely have the ability to do so. This is the second best 3-point shooting team in America. The second best
whole America?
Yes, the whole America, and the number 1 3-point shooting team left. Now, at the same time, Duke is like the 8th best 3-point shooting team in America and the second best left in the tournament. All these teams shoot the 3 really, really well and at a high rate because they have great shot makers. But I don't think Houston needs to just like ugly this up in order for them to win. Like, I think they can hang with Duke and their playmakers and their athletes as well. So, I mean, it's another toss up. Pick the team that you think is going to win. Give me the Cougs. Give me Houston. Give me Nance. Give me Kevin. Don't call me Kevin. Kelvin Sampson. God, him actually saying that actually confused me more a little bit. So
I had it down.
Give me a Florida Houston in the national championship game.
Well, I picked Duke, so I have to stick with Duke.
Yep.
I guess I'll go. I don't know. Auburn hasn't looked great in the tournament.
Auburn has looked a lot better lately.
Yeah. Better than Florida.
They weren't great going into the tournament,
yeah.
I'll tell you that.
I'm going to chomp as well.
You're chomping with me?
Give me Duke, Florida.
Duke, Florida, national championship game. Okay, so neither of us have Auburn, which means that Auburn, congratulations on your berth in the national championship game.
They're going to win.
And then we'll see how it splits. I saw front up. So speaking of Bill Raftery, by a personal favorite of mine, and a joy to watch Duke basketball games and to listen to Duke basketball games because he has the joy that all of us, wish we had at our jobs. He still loves it. He's 81 years old.
81.
He's getting ready to call his 10th Final Four on CBS and his 30th overall across TV and radio. And basically the premise of the interview from Front Office Sports was like, hey, are you going to,
would you like to announce to me that you're retiring?
Well, just is there any thought of hanging it up? Like how have you the thought was, have you given much thought on how much longer you want to do it? Bill Raftery says, not really. I've been blessed with support from other people, so I never really think about it. I'm sure at some point they'll let me know if you're not doing your job, but I sort of take each year as it goes. It's been delightful this year. There's never really been a year in my mind where I've felt tired. Plus, the tournament rejuvenates you. It's like a whole different setup. I just sort of do what they ask, and God willing, if they still want me, I'm still enjoying it. So Bill Raftery shutting down any sort of retirement rumors. Hey, he's getting old. You might have to replace him on the crew soon. No, thank you. I'm not going anywhere. I'll do this as long as they want me to do it. And they should want him to do it as long as he's good at it. I don't know when it fades away for Bill Raftery, but it hasn't really happened yet.
I've never really been watching a game that he's on and gone
like,
ooh, this guy doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that Raft is obviously known for is his ability to enjoy himself after the games.
Yes. I know what you're talking about now.
He was asked by Front Office Sports, what are your favorite bars and restaurants in America?
Great, bold journalism here.
The one that doesn't turn the lights on early. The legend seems to carry on about my natural proclivities being Irish. Moe's in Milwaukee is one we consistently go to. PJ Clark's during the Big East tournament in New York. A lot of the places we used to go to are long gone. Gibson's in Chicago is one that we still go to. We used to know one of the owners, Lombardo. His daughter went to Georgetown. Most of them are more restaurant type of places now that the years have gone on. We get to LA a little bit. The kids bring me to these good restaurants. Toscana is one. Prime 47 in Indianapolis. Jeff Ruby's in Cincinnati and Louisville. Tony's in Lexington. He named off 9 restaurants. The bar scene, though, is a little different now than when we used to do it. That is from the one and only Bill Raftery. What a joy.
They don't make them like that anymore.
What an absolute joy. And it's beyond the catchphrases and the onions and the and all that stuff, and like genuinely enjoyable broadcaster and a great guy. If you ever, next time he comes around to Omaha, you just say hello to him and he'd be happy to. Feels like all the Big East guys are kind of like that. You know what I mean? They kind of
a little more personable, a little more willing to rub some elbows.
Yep, no doubt about it. It's fantastic, and this is an enjoyable weekend for man, and hopefully we get the reward that we've been asking for the entire tournament, which is
a good game,
good games somewhere. Somebody, or I think it was Dave last night, was tweeting about the Crown, and Dave was like, I have an opinion. I think the Crown has been better than the NCAA tournament, or he said more exciting than the NCAA tournament this year. I don't think you could replicate, the games have been closer, but you can't replicate the energy and the effort and the intensity and the fact that your backs are up against the wall every single time. It's like I can't sign off on that. But
is your back not up against the wall in the Crown?
No, not really. Because what happens if you lose? Nothing.
You're eliminated. It's a one-loss elimination tournament.
What happens if you win?
You get the pile.
You're still
of
eliminated.
cash.
You're still eliminated. Actually,
69th best team in the country.
There you go. So we will talk about the Crown and what's at stake for Nebraska this weekend and a couple more things before we get out of here. Coming up with the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone. Don't forget, just talked about the basketball games going on this weekend. There is still another tournament happening.
The Crown.
Nope. Another one even more important.
Purple CBI.
The Omaha Food Fight.
Oh!
Presented by Union Bank and Trust, which is down to its final. Drover, Broncos. Vote for your favorite. And the voting runs from right now until the end of Monday. And so get your votes in, and the winner will be declared at that point. The Omaha Food Fight presented by Union Bank and Trust. Fun thing. Good job by all the people behind the scenes here putting that thing together, and we'll let the best man win in the Omaha Food Fight.
A lot of people with a lot of takes.
Oh yeah, people have
you
takes.
have the power to control.
That's right.
Who wins.
If you don't like it, you can change things. Vote now, 1620thezone.com. And it's on that little rotator there in the front page. And if it's not the first thing that comes up, it'll probably be the second one. 1620thezone.com. Okay, another important tournament, but not as important as the Omaha Food Fight. The Crown. The discussion of offseason momentum. By the way, an important get today for Nebraska basketball to the transfer portal and Bryce Sanford out of the University of Iowa. Nice pickup. 3-point shooter. Nebraska looking awfully offensive next year at this point. Not like gross, that's offensive. But
offensive, not offensive.
Offensive, like offense, like onions. 3-point shooters. Got a couple of them locked in a season in Sanford at this point. Don't forget about everyone's boy, Rink Mast, making his return next year. So you're starting to put together a little bit of a core, a little bit of a nucleus going into 2025, 2026. What does Nebraska's run in the Crown mean? What does Nebraska's run in the Crown mean? Because I've seen people over the last couple of days be on both sides of this. Either like this is great and it's off-season momentum and it means this and this for your program. And then I've seen people who's just like, why did we even play in this? We could be spending all of our time and attention on the transfer portal. This is a waste of time. So, as is tradition, I'm somewhere in the middle of those two things. I would just say that you're given the opportunity to play more basketball and you're given the opportunity to make a little money.
Money is
As
good.
Gus Johnson would remind you about millions of times during both the quarterfinal, the semifinal, and potentially the final action. I mean, he is going to be on one during that final on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
$300,000. Can you believe it, Jimmy? By the way, did you see the screenshot that I tweeted out of Jim Jackson's day today and the things that he has lined up?
No, let me go to this.
He's going to be all up in Circa Resort and Casino today. And by the way, so the first thing that was on there was like a meeting or, some sort of production meeting or something like that.
This a graphic?
That got banged. It's canceled.
Oh, no.
He didn't have the meeting this morning. So he started his day with golf at TPC Las Vegas. Then then after golf, he has to go over to Circa and make a radio appearance on VSiN, which I did it before him. So, whatever. I was
copying you
mildly under the influence from the night before.
Sure. Vegas.
I've been trying to find that video ever since I did that. I just haven't, because I was in trouble. I was in trouble, Josh. And they were asking me questions about Ryan Kalkbrenner. I was like, yeah, but I didn't have any saliva in my mouth. Circa swim celebration at 5. He goes, there's not going to be much. I don't know who's going to be swimming. And then 6 o'clock, Legacy Club. That's up on the top floor. We went there. That's where Nick got his Japanese whiskey.
Yes.
By the way, with all the gold bars. And then dinner at the steakhouse all the way downstairs. So he's going to be all up at Circa.
Wow.
And then he also, of course, as I've discussed before, because he told me Jim Jackson loves cigars. And so he has nightly cigar bar appearances at various places around Las Vegas as well. That's what Jim Jackson is doing today in Las Vegas.
Why is this?
I don't. Dude, they're actually having Gus and Jim Jackson. they don't, I mean, it's perfect because they don't have to really care about the basketball that much. And they're just in Vegas for a few days and they're actually having a fantastic time. At one point, Gus was like,
this.
I can't believe they're paying us to do this.
Yeah.
He literally said that out loud during the Villanova USC game last night.
Just, I found myself like, I haven't been watching this tournament, but I find myself kind of liking this tournament because
when you put something this small in Vegas, you're admitting out loud, you're saying like, this is not that big of a deal. Don't overthink it.
I don't want to see a press release Monday that says the Crown is expanding to 32 teams. I don't want that.
It's not about the basketball really that much.
No.
It's about Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
It's about going to Vegas. And it's like a perfect match for both sides, to be honest with you. So I hope it stays there and I hope they keep doing it this way. It's been a pretty good addition to the postseason, not important tournament situation. But
I don't know if it's getting any television ratings, but I imagine whatever it is getting is better than whatever would have been in its place.
I said, I voluntarily watched a non-Nebraska game last night.
Wow.
Because I wanted to see what Gus and Jim Jackson were up to.
And you were rewarded.
And I sure was, Josh.
A 4K schedule for Jim Jackson.
And I needed to see another game of Eric Dixon. But Eric Dixon's career will never die.
Never.
He will always be there. So what do you actually get from this? Probably not. You get a little money. Cool. Individual growth and development. Cale Jacobson comes to mind there. So as long as you're able to effectively do the things in the portal that you want to do, and it doesn't seem like Nebraska is having much of an issue there. They got a commitment today. I think it's nothing but a positive thing for your program. And it feels like Nebraska is fine in that regard. Like I said, they got the portal commitment. And I don't think they're putting that much into the basketball part of this. I don't feel like anybody's putting that much into the basketball part of this. You're there, you're playing the basketball games. It's fun for the kids. They get to make a little bit of money off of it. And then they kind of just get to roll the ball out there.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure there's a little game planning and there's a little, like, hey, we got to lock in, it's game time, that kind of thing. It'll be interesting to hear from Fred, like how much, what they're kind of doing in their preparation and how normal or abnormal it is. But I don't get the sense that they're like they're taking it like overly seriously and they're rolling the ball out there and they're playing, they're still doing their job in the transfer portal. This is great. I mean, it's really a good thing. So if they get past Boise in the semifinal and they get to the final, I mean, hell, even making it to the semifinal, like it's a little bit of a stage before the women's Final Four games tomorrow. And then
women's Final Four tonight.
I'm sorry, before the men's Final Four tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sunday before the women's national championship.
There
game,
you go.
If you get to that point as well, like
quick turnaround from semifinal to final.
Yeah. I don't understand how it's a bad thing.
Yeah, no. I mean, knock on wood, assuming nobody gets hurt and is out for, 8 months or whatever.
Yeah.
Which would be horrible. But yeah, just be on whatever stage you can be at this point.
Absolutely. Take it. It doesn't have to mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be like, we're playing in April. See, we're better than all the teams that got eliminated for don't do that.
It's the 69th best team in the country.
And you got to go to David Copperfield last night. Did you see the pictures from David Copperfield?
David Copperfield still's working?
Oh, I think they just took his big sign off the side of the MGM Grand like a couple months ago. Oh yeah, David Copperfield's still there. He's cooking.
How old is David Copperfield?
That's a great question. Check it out.
68 years young.
Yeah. Ken Pavelka was in the picture, and he had bought a zip-up sweatshirt that said Las Vegas on it. I was like, this is amazing.
That's charming as hell.
This is absolutely fantastic. And then you get Gus and Jim Jackson. Black Cat writes in, corn and soybeans at the family farm. What do you think about that? Take that story to your cigar bar, Jimmy Jack. I don't know how much. I mean, he gets excited about Bryce Williams too. He loves Bryce Williams. So one more game with Gus and Bryce Williams would be fantastic. I actually kind of think they're going to lose to Boise though.
That's what I predicted in my bracket.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm sorry. I hope this dream run continues forever and ever and ever. But I kind of think they're going to lose to Boise. I think Boise is actually taking it seriously.
Well, Boise was like the first team out, right?
Yeah, they seem like they kind of have something to prove, and they didn't really lose anybody off their roster. I guess Nebraska didn't either, but except for Riley Wooster due to injury.
Sure.
But yeah. All right, Josh.
Connor.
That's it. Let's do the polls, and we'll tell you what to watch coming up on 1620 The Zone. All right, to the polls, Josh, at Happer Show on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Does everyone need a Lambeer? Everyone needs a lamb. I don't think you need. It's great to have one. Though.
Yeah, great to have one. It's not a need in this day and age.
61% say yes.
Okay.
Yes.
He's a beloved figure in the sport.
Is slug the preferred nomenclature for snail? I prefer to call it the slug. I don't know what the slug prefers. I haven't spoken to one.
Slugs and snails are not the same, though.
Oh, really?
The primary difference is that snails have a shell.
What's a slug?
Slugs do not.
Is it? So
Is
a slug a snail without a shell then?
Slugs have evolved from snails through the loss of their shell. So
a slug is a snail.
Yeah.
Okay.
All slugs are snails, but not all snails are slugs. Is that it's one of those things. Like
all slugs have been snails.
Mm-hmm.
And all snails will be slugs. You will lose your shell and become a slug. at some point.
Pre-slug.
I'm going to vote yes. I like this poll question. 63% say no.
I just like that you went with nomenclature.
Thank you. Which would you rather talk about? Hashtag the dinner or hashtag the crown?
Most voted on poll question of the day by far.
78% say the dinner.
Of course.
And is today like a defensive back that could play all the positions? Thank you, BC, for that one. Yes. 65% say no.
We got one more.
Oh, my apologies. I apologize. Do you hate paying for shipping? We get a really good chance to check out our troll rate on this one. 93% say yes. So we got a good, we got like a 2 or 3 vote troll rate at this point.
Always out there.
Or maybe some people are just like, you know what? I don't mind it.
I don't mind. It's
Go ahead. Whatever.
I want it.
Throw some extra on there. Those are the polls, Josh. What are we watching tonight?
We are watching the most important basketball of the weekend, and by that I, of course, mean the Crown. Semifinals on Big Fox this weekend. Winners play in the championship Sunday at 4:30 on Big Fox. We start with Boise State and Nebraska, 12:30 tip.
Corn
and
soybeans.
Then Villanova and UCF at around 3 o'clock there on the Big Fox. Of course, the Final Four. You can listen to it here on 1620 The Zone tomorrow night at 2, but you can watch it on CBS as God intended. It's not one of those years where it's on TBS for some reason.
Yeah, thank you. That's good.
Florida Auburn at 5 o'clock, followed by Houston Duke at 7:45. Women's Final Four tonight on ESPN. You can listen to it right here on 1620 The Zone as well. Texas and South Carolina at 6, followed by UConn and UCLA at 8:30. They'll have the Diana Bird and no, not Diana Bird.
Diana Bird is 2 people.
Yes. Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi.
There you go.
Watch along tonight on ESPN2.
I wonder if they'll have any takes on Caitlin Clark.
They usually do. And
Sunday.
Sunday.
Gotta get to that Caitlin Clark thing.
Sunday, the national championship game on ABC at 2 o'clock. The NHL goes into Ovechkin watch. He is 2 goals behind Wayne Gretzky. He needs 3 to pass him.
Hey, so before we go too much further on the Final Four thing, how much time will they dedicate or what will they dedicate to Charles Barkley talking about the women of San Antonio? Like, will they make a whole bit about it? Will they do a graphic, and will they like clear out for Charles for a couple minutes, or will they keep it as just a joke that is made every once in a while?
Every once in a while, just kind of.
I mean,
you love it here, don't you, Chuck?
He's going to make the joke probably multiple times.
Yeah.
And honestly, I never really get sick of it.
Right.
So I hope they don't bang the drum too hard, is what I'm saying.
You got to either really hard,
not
lean into it, or don't do it at all.
I just think you keep it under the, you just keep it underneath, just a couple quips every now and then. Big old women.
Big old women. The Capitals host the Chicago Blackhawks tonight at 6 o'clock on ESPN Plus. Chicago, one of the bottom 3 teams in goals allowed per game. So I don't know. Maybe throw a couple of shekels on an anytime Ovechkin goal.
Whoa, that's what Matt said on his big board.
Oh, did he really? Okay.
Yeah.
Then Washington turns around Sunday morning. They will travel to the New York Islanders, 11:30 on TNT. Baseball on your TV this weekend. Dodgers, Phillies tonight on Apple. Tomorrow at 3 on FS1. Rays, Rangers also on Apple tonight. Reds, Brewers, 6 o'clock tomorrow night on FS1. And Sunday night baseball comes to Fenway, of all places, for the Cardinals and the Red Sox.
Wow.
College baseball tonight. Nebraska hosts Rutgers at 6 o'clock. You can watch it on Nebraska Public Media. And Saturday and Sunday, they are on the Big Plus. You can listen to Creighton baseball all weekend long on 1180 The Zone. Connor, tonight is 6 o'clock. Saturday is what time first pitch?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. Sunday would be a noon first pitch.
Noon.
And there you go.
Baseball.
Creighton, UConn, and the Omaha Supernovas tomorrow night on Nebraska Public Media.
Do you see the reference that I'm making on the screen right now, Josh?
You're holding a ball.
Yeah, I'm like I'm like the former president George H.W. Bush.
Just ready to.
Remember when he did that? When he held up the
baseball?
baseball? He was really old, and they rolled him out there in the wheelchair, and he just held the baseball up. Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking.
It's not a very good bit if you had to
other
explain
Bush.
it.
Yeah.
No, HW. All right, thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Connor.
That's what we're watching this weekend. That's the show. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. The crossover is coming up next.